The story kicked off in the quiet of night, with an odd sound breaking the stillness. Maybe it was the biting wind late at night, the moonlight slipping past some high clouds, or the keen instincts of a seasoned assassin. Whatever it was, they all hinted something was up. Right then, a knight was kneeling, head lowered before someone. Again, well done. He looked up briefly, then bowed deeply, saying, "Thank you, my lord Daryus." That serious man standing over him was Daryus Robert himself. His long hair flowed, and he carried a cold, mysterious vibe that made people uneasy. The voice inside the knight's head hadn't stopped buzzing. They warned he'd meet his end at this man's hands tonight. Daryus spoke softly to the kneeling knight. "You've delivered results truly worthy of a shadow commander. Thanks to your efforts, our clans made breakthroughs like never before." The knight replied humbly, "I simply did what needed to be done, my lord." This knight's name was Rayon. Lord Daryus gazed at him with a cryptic smile. "I'm genuinely curious, Rayon." His eyes dropped to the shadow flickering on the ground beside Rayon. Then, with a mysterious tone, he asked, "Do you believe a shadow needs freedom?" But Rayon, sharp as ever, quickly caught on to Daryus's meaning, and answered clearly, keeping his head bowed. "The Shadow Squad exists solely to carry out the Master's will. There's no place for personal thoughts, feelings, or hearts among us." Daryus nodded with approval, praising him. "Good, you understand." Daryus looked at Rayon once again, whispering, "But if you know that..." The gentle demeanor he'd shown vanished in an instant. His expression darkened, his eyes burned with intensity. The atmosphere turned heavy and tense. He started grilling Rayon. "Then why'd you dare act on your own? How did you break free from the brainwashing?" His gaze was wild and unrelenting. Rayon's heart sank. He thought, how on earth could he know about that? What exactly is he talking about? What's the full story behind this? Brainwashing? Suddenly, painful memories crashed back into his mind, crystal clear. How the Robert family had refined the Shadow Assassination Squad. Daryus's way of doing this was by kidnapping or buying children, but it didn't stop there. Even worse things followed, turning those kids into assassins who'd pledged their lives to the Robert family's dirty deeds. Basically, they raised loyal dogs for the clan. Rayon was one of those unlucky kids caught in their grasp. He had been brainwashed, too, but by some stroke of luck during a mission, he broke free from those mental chains. Rayon never thought Daryus would find out. For a moment, he wondered, but how could he possibly know I'm no longer under their spell? So he asked directly, no longer guessing, "How did you find out, my lord?" Daryus answered calmly, distracted, fidgeting as he rubbed two fingers together. "Among all the assassins, including yourself, two chains bind you. The first is brainwashing, which you somehow escaped," he said, snapping his fingers decisively. Then, without warning, he lunged straight at Rayon, shouting, and blood spurted instantly. Rayon's eyes widened in shock, frozen. After a long moment, he cried out in pain, "Ah!" Rayon grabbed his chest with a desperate grip. "What's this stabbing pain? It feels like my heart's being sawed in half, torn apart bit by bit." Daryus smiled with satisfaction. While Rayon writhed in agony, Daryus spoke with cold composure, completely ignoring his suffering. "That's a parasite worm," Daryus explained slowly. "A little bug I implanted inside you. It's still under my control and is now slowly feasting on your heart." Fear washed over Rayon. This cruel act by Daryus, the darkest kind of sorcery imaginable, could even manipulate a slave's feelings. Gritting his teeth, he forced the words out. "Brainwashing wasn't enough for you, was it? You made me swallow a parasite worm too, yet you still act all high and mighty. You're truly disgusting, Daryus." Daryus stayed perfectly calm, his voice dripping with arrogance. "That's not pettiness, it's called caution. Don't forget, you were the one who managed to escape brainwashing." He declared his philosophy with grandiose pride. "People say everyone plays a role. Mine just happens to be thicker and more unique than most." Rayon couldn't focus on anything else. All he could do was know that this man was his greatest enemy. He burned the name Daryus Robert deep into his memory. The bitter past suddenly surged back. "I was kidnapped when I was too young to remember anything clearly." Those memories were unforgettable for Rayon. He recalled being raised like a hunting dog and assassin for the Robert family. Even after rising to Shadow Commander, he lived without heart or feelings. But then his life took a turn. Thanks to a lucky encounter, he learned a technique called Fire Eye. Rumored to be the secret skill of the continent's strongest swordsman long ago, it helped him break free from the brainwashing. Rayon floated through his memories. "I thought I finally escaped the Shadow Core and dared to dream of freedom." Finally, hope bloomed inside him. Hatred burned as he screamed in despair. Yet, why was it that what awaited at the end was death, not freedom? Rayon lamented, his exhausted body collapsing to the ground. But even then, so many things still held him captive. What crime did I commit? Why do I have to die such a pointless death? The more he thought, the angrier he became. His hatred only grew fiercer. Gritting his teeth, his hand clenched into a fist, pounding the ground. "No way I'm letting this end like this." A A spark of willpower pushed Rayon upright. He vowed that if this was the end, Daryus was taken aback when Rayon suddenly stood. His eyes widened in disbelief. How can you even stand in that state? Rayon ignored the dumb question. Pressing a hand to the ground to steady himself, he prepared for one last strike. His mind pushed him relentlessly forward. If this is the end, Rayon gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing fiercely. I'll either take you down or at least land a wound before I fall. In the quiet night, he let out a roar that shook his soul. Silently, he screamed, I refuse to die like this. His body lunged toward Daryus. Daryus stayed cool, utterly still. At that moment, Rayon saw only his sworn enemy, but his broken body wasn't fit to confront a ruthless killer like Daryus. With a devastating sword strike, blood splattered again. Rayon crashed down onto the icy ground once more. His eyes opened wide, a final, fading gaze. Daryus stood over him, watching his labored breaths. But this time, there was something new in Daryus's eyes. He was caught off guard. Even though I blocked that strike, Daryus started to leave, but his thoughts were still fixed on Rayon. Even though he was considered worthless, he not only avoided the brainwashing but also endured the parasite's pain and fought back. I wonder how much time has passed. He glanced down at his bleeding hand. How many years has it been since I last got hurt? Bitten by a hunting dog, I trained myself unbelievable. Daryus glanced back briefly, muttering under his breath. But I don't need to worry about him anymore. He's dead now. Then he gave orders to his men. Get rid of him. Rayon's eyes stayed locked on Daryus's disappearing silhouette. Daryus was known as one of the continent's strongest warriors. Rayon tried to console himself. My loss was unavoidable. He's the strong one, and I'm the weak. How could I ever stand a chance? Yet Rayon's gaze remained steadfast ahead, but I refused to accept that. The ghosts of my past surged once again. I regret living a life without meaning. One of those ghosts was none other than Daryus. He won't let me go peacefully. I regret letting Daryus toy with me all these years. That regret still weighs heavily on me. He gasped deeply. And I deeply regret never mastering the fire ring. Suddenly, a prayer began to echo. It doesn't matter if it's God or even a demon. Anyone will do. Please, Rayon pleaded desperately. Do something, and give me a chance to get revenge on Daryus. The emblem on Rayon's chest suddenly started glowing. Something strange was happening. You have been chosen by Wrath. Wrath will take over your body, the body that has died. After a night soaked in blood and bitter resentment, the sun rose high again. Warm sunlight filled the room, accompanied by a soft voice. Sunlight. That gentle voice belonged to a beautiful girl. Sunlight. Look, Mommy, my sunshine. The baby in the crib raised a tiny hand and babbled. Abba. His mother giggled. Good job. Now, what's this one? The smart little baby responded right away. Abu. The mother held the baby close, her face glowing with happiness and her eyes shining. Oh my. Mommy's precious sunshine. Who do you take after to be this adorable? Huh. But this baby wasn't just an ordinary infant. He looked at his mother, thinking like an adult. I'm still not used to this. The woman holding him was Sylvia. Sylvia lifted her child gently once more. The boy thought, I still can't believe this. She smiled brightly, saying, Say, Mommy, Mommy. The baby looked intently at her. Without a doubt, Rayon was now in this form. I've been reincarnated as this woman's child, Rayon remembered, still holding on to his memories of being an assassin in his past life. When he opened his eyes, Rayon was completely confused. At first, I thought it was just a dream. How could I have slept for 100 days straight and still not awaken? But no matter how long he slept, he finally accepted the reality. He had been reborn. Sylvia held Rayon close, gazing out the window. The weather's so beautiful today. Isn't it, darling? Sylvia looked into the distance. I hope the Lord comes back soon, she said with hopeful eyes. Then he can give you a beautiful name. Rayon looked at his mother, his eyes tinged with sadness. It feels a little weird being called something like Tiny Kick, don't you think? Rayon wondered. Not seeing your child for 100 days, he must be really busy. Huh? Thinking that, he babbled to please his mother. Bo, Abu. The place Rayon now called home was grand, magnificent, and stunning. Just one look was enough to reveal all the wealth and grandeur. Rayon thought to himself, I haven't really had a chance to explore much since I was reincarnated. But at least it's clear this is an upper-class, affluent family. Even the bedroom was decorated with lavish elegance, such a sharp contrast to the dull and dreary life Rayon left behind. I guess being born into a powerful and rich family beats ending up in a mediocre one. But even with all the luxury and love surrounding him now, Rayon held onto a fierce drive inside. He reminded himself, being reborn rich is great, but I'm here for revenge. He never forgot the cruel face of Daryus. What stuck most vividly was the anger and hatred burning inside him before he died. But I have to be patient. I've been reborn as a child. Rayon realized he couldn't do much just yet. So far, he'd only wandered his room. He didn't even know where he was. He was clueless about his rank or the situation he found himself in. Baby Rayon thought deeply about this. Plus, since he hadn't mastered the flame ring technique yet, he knew he had to practice patience even more. In his last life, he was once hailed as the Robert family's most skilled assassin. Now, given a second shot at life, Rayon's only goal was to someday take down Daryus, so he had to stay calm and hold back his feelings until the right moment arrived. Baby Rayon looked around once more, but all it did was make him more curious. The mansion's brightness and size were beyond typical upper class. Suddenly, Rayon's eyes locked onto something. Sylvia's maid, Helen, burst in. "Lady Sylvia," she called out from the doorway. "The Lord has returned." Sylvia froze, stunned. Rayon's eyes widened. "Father? So the Lord is my dad?" Sylvia panicked. "What should we prepare?" Helen flailed her arms. "Too late, my lady, he's already at the door," Helen exclaimed. Sylvia's face was filled with worry. Both Helen and Sylvia turned toward the entrance. Rayon followed their stare with curiosity. Then he stood there, stunned and confused. "What the heck? What's this presence?" From outside the door, 3 figures silently entered, announcing the Lord's return. The Lord's footsteps were heavy and commanding, radiating immense pressure just by standing there. He had golden hair and a tall, broad frame. Rayon stared dumbfounded, whispering, "I." The more he looked, the more shocked he became. "Impossible. If I'm right, this man is Sylvia," could only tremble in fear. "Father, father." Without wasting a greeting, he bluntly asked, "Is this the child?" Rayon stared hard at the Lord. "I'm sure of it." He sifted through every memory. A middle-aged man with sunlit hair, eyes burning bright red like fire, and an expression colder than ice. The leader of the continent's mightiest family, the North's king of destruction, Glenn Ziegart. Glenn looked at Rayon with a stern, unreadable gaze. Rayon met his grandfather's eyes wide open. Inside, he felt joy. "I've been born into the strongest family on the continent." The question came, full of disbelief. "You actually plan to keep him?" Rayon thought. What a twist of fate. Lord Glenn bent down and picked up the child, saying, "From today onward, his name is Rayon." Like the name. Live quietly, like a shadow that slips by unnoticed, as if you're not really here. Rayon stared at his grandfather, stunned. "Having survived the edge between life and death, I've got a brand new name now." With that, Glenn turned on his heel and strolled away. Rayon smiled brightly, quietly repeating his new name, Rayon Nightfell. The air around him hummed in peaceful silence. He guessed, everyone must be fast asleep by now. He sat up, his tiny frame cute as can be, a sharp contrast to the serious vibe he had before. These 100 days had been painful in their dullness, but now, finally, there's a shot. His body had merged with that of an infant, so his habits had naturally synced with baby life. Rayon thought to himself, no wonder I randomly get sleepy out of nowhere. He recalled how, every time he woke up, Sylvia was always right beside him. I still can't even control mana properly. At least I can now chill alone in my crib, which is a relief. But his lingering sense of reason lifted him back upright. Okay, time to start. He dove back into training. The fire ring coalesced. In his mind's eye, sacred grounds, mountains, and forests bloomed. In continental cultivation, breathing is the key to gather natural mana and aura at your energy core. But the fire ring he created with special catalysts was a whole different game. Rayon focused hard, like a wizard weaving a mana circle. It wrapped itself around his heart, boosting his stamina and jump-starting bodily growth. At the same time, it fired up his willpower and synced with his mana flow. This technique sets the perfect foundation to become a top-notch warrior. Rayon felt his excitement climb. This was the ultimate method. His confidence in his journey ran deep. Another perk? Even someone as sharp as Daryus couldn't tell if a fire ring was active. So, Rayon stayed committed to his training. Most importantly, if I work my body and mind through the fire ring, even though my forms changed, Rayon's thoughts stayed steady. And I'll master the sword style of Ziggard. Just thinking about it made Rayon smile. Revenge against Druze, the thief, isn't just a dream anymore. He glanced down at his fragile little body again. Maybe this body structure is why my mana channels are so icy cold. That might explain the constant chill all over. Even after sleeping 20 hours or longer, baby Rayon shut his eyes again, zoning in. Is this mana blockage? 9th channel maybe? This is serious business. At this rate, frozen mana, clogging the magic pathways might kill me. He muttered under his breath. I gotta clear these channels using the fire ring. Still, it'd be a shame to lose this bone-deep chill. I'll mix it with my inner fire and get them flowing together through the wild forest grass. The rustling sounds echoed now and then. Rayon breathed easier. Okay, it's slow, sure, but steady progress. What's next? He wondered. Baby Rayon showed a bit of the adult's frustration. He flopped back down. Just a little training and I'm already wiped out. Curse this tiny, weak body. Damn it, I can't do this. Before long, Baby Rayon drifted off to sleep. Lord Glenn watched silently over his sleeping grandson in the crib, gently casting a protective spell to keep him safe. Then he quietly left. Morning rolled in again. Baby Rayon crawled around, his face scrunched up like he was not having it. "Ouchie," Sylvia cheered as she stood nearby. "Good job, good job. Our little Aaron is just too cute. Keep crawling a bit more." Opu grumbled inwardly. Rayon cursed his situation. Playing with this mom is such a workout. His mind was fully grown, yet he was forced to act like a baby. At this rate, I might just lose it. Sylvia finally scooped him up, showering him with love and praise. There was nothing little Round could do about it. So adorable. Seriously, just too cute. I'd rather brave the cold than let go. She kept showering her baby with sweet whispers. "Our precious little Aaron." Just then, a ruckus sounded from outside. Could it be Sylvia? She perked up at the noise. Sylvia let out a happy cheer. "Ah, old man." "No, wait, it was the holy saint." The saint chuckled warmly, wearing a gentle, kindly smile that truly lived up to his name. "Wait, what kind of saint casually calls me old man?" Rayon blinked, confused. This was the eternal saint. So, this friendly-looking saint was actually some big shot with major influence. His holy powers and sacred magic were known across the whole continent as top tier. He was the most famous healer around. But because he was always wandering about, catching him in person was like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. The holy saint gazed at baby Rayon. "I happened to be passing by and heard you just had a baby." Handing Round up softly, he smiled kindly. "Oh, blonde hair and red eyes just like you," Sylvia chuckled. "Yes, isn't he just beautiful?" The holy saint added, "Such a cute kid. Totally different from Glenn, though. Worlds apart. By the way, what's the baby's name?" "His name is Rayon." Sylvia nodded. "Yeah, that's right. Naming a kid, Shadow. What was Glenn thinking?" Rayon stared intently at the saint, feeling like there was more beneath the surface. There had to be some link between those two. "Wait a sec. I heard the Northern Destroyer King and the Eternal Saint are friends." The holy saint smiled softly again, then murmured, "Rayon, let this old man take a closer look." Placing his hand gently on the baby's tiny chest, the saint muttered softly as Sylvia watched quietly. "Is there something wrong with him?" Sylvia's voice trembled with worry. "This child carries an inner ice curse." He handed baby Rayon back and explained briefly. "The boy's mana channels are blocked by icy shards. Forget about whether he'll ever be a swordsman." His grim words cut through Sylvia like a knife. "If left untreated, he won't survive." "You must be joking." But the holy saint stayed serious. "I'll provide medicine to keep him stable." Just then, Helen bowed and said, "The master requests your presence immediately. I'm here to guide you." "That's all for now. I must take my leave." The holy saint sighed with frustration. "That guy's always calling at the worst moments." Then he left. "Got it. Heading there now." Rayon watched him walk away.
"So, it really is an ice curse. Well, knowing the name doesn't make it any easier."
A single drop of water fell onto baby Rayon's cheek. Could it be because of the flame ring? She stared down at the tiny child in her arms, tears streaming freely. Reluctantly, she cried out, refusing to accept the saint's grim words. "That's a lie," she sobbed. "I will not lose you like this. Who says my baby is going to die? That's ridiculous." Clutching Rayon tight, she vowed, "I'll do whatever it takes to cure you. Your mom's got your back, no matter what. You can't leave just yet. Rayon, don't get sick now." In his previous life, Rayon was a kid starved for love, trained hard to become a ruthless assassin. It had been ages since he felt this kind of warmth and care. Rayon's eyes went wide with surprise. "What is this strange feeling? My chest hurts. My whole body feels drained. And it stings in my mind too." Rayon clung tightly to this unfamiliar sensation. "I don't want to see this." He wanted to reach out to Sylvia and tell her not to cry. Little Rayon stretched out a tiny hand, gently wiping away his mama's tears. Sylvia was caught completely off guard by this sweet gesture from her baby. Baby Rayon kept trying to reach her, softly brushing her cheek just like any other baby would. He said his very first word, "Mama." Rayon said it again, "Mama." Just then, Glenn and the holy saint were deep in conversation when a frantic voice interrupted them. "Lady Sylvia, you can't stop now." "Please don't." Helen was trying to hold Sylvia back. "What's all that noise?" Sylvia pushed past and stormed into the room where Lord Glenn was handling official matters. Sylvia was panting, looking at her father. He seemed uncomfortable, scolding her lightly. What kind of rudeness is this? His gaze was sharp as he stared at his daughter, this awkward, embarrassing girl. Suddenly, Sylvia dropped to her knees. "I beg you," she said, bowing her head low. "Father, please." She pleaded with all her heart. "Please, save Rayon." Sylvia's voice trembled as she begged. "Father, please, you have to save Rayon." She choked back tears. "You know how sick the boy is, but he means the world to me. Please, just save my Rayon." Glenn replied coolly. There's no way that kid will survive as a warrior. Why save someone who can't help the family? Sylvia tried to convince him. Isn't he your grandson? Lowen asked seriously. The very grandson you brought back after abandoning your family. Glenn spat out cold, sharp words. The only thing he'll do is carry the Ziggart name. That's the small favor I'm doing him. Nothing more. Sylvia couldn't accept her father's harsh words and shouted back. Glenn's voice cut through coldly. I'm done talking. Get him out of here. Still, Sylvia begged with all her strength until the very end. Father, please, I'm begging you. She sobbed between cries. Please, save Rayon. Even though she was rejected as a mother, Sylvia's pleas weren't stopped by Glenn's coldness. She repeated her desperate words. Please, Rayon. But in the end, they dragged her out of the room. The holy saint watched Sylvia until the door slammed shut. He sighed and said to Glenn, You really haven't changed, huh? Still as stubborn as ever. The holy saint looked at his friend, asking, Is it really that hard? Why are you acting this way when you were the one who asked me to check on your grandson? Glenn quickly brushed it off, saying, Enough. Just tell me everything about the boy's condition. The holy saint started explaining. Like I said, his 9 mana channels are clogged with cold, and as he grows, it's only going to get worse. He also knew that last night Glenn had used magic to push back the cold around Rayanna with his aura, so things should be stable for now. But like I said, your grandson simply won't be able to become a warrior. Glenn took a small sip of his tea and said, As long as he's alive, that's all that matters. The holy saint looked puzzled. You're acting totally different from before. That's beside the point. The holy saint looked confused. You're acting completely unlike how you used to. You still love your grandson, right? He quickly questioned the very thing he'd been trying to protect. But if this is your plan, why on earth did you choose to name your grandson Rayon? There are plenty of great names out there. Why that one? Glenn sighed and started to explain. Rayon doesn't just mean darkness. His serious, thoughtful expression reflected in his cup. 1,000 years ago, the name had a completely opposite meaning. Inside Sylvia's mansion, Rayon gently gave medicine to young Rayon, soothing him. This is the elixir the holy saint gave you. It tastes a little bitter, but try to bear with it. It wasn't only Rayon who winced at the taste. Even grown-ups like Helen and Sylvia could smell it and felt like throwing up. Rayon babbled something. Ah, boo-boo. Sylvia opened her eyes to see Rayon raising his hand, asking to be picked up. Helen burst into tears. He swallowed the medicine. Rayon braved the bitterness and drank it all. Helen said, That's my boy. Even though the medicine bitterly touched a child's tongue, he had to understand the hearts of those who cared for him. She hugged Rayon tight, tears starting to fall again. She lovingly called out her child's name, Rayon. Rayon stared off into the distance, lost in thought. It's a bit bitter, but this fire attribute elixir is exactly what I need right now. The warmth will push the cold out of my mana channels. Sylvia sobbed once more. Do you understand your mother's love? Baby Rayon finally added another year to his age. Now the boy could speak clearly, no longer just babbling one word at a time. Give me more of the elixir. Time flew by, and it had been 2 years since training and drinking the elixir began. Rayon had grown a little taller now. He gazed at his hands, feeling the fire energy stirring inside and smiling with joy. Thanks to this, I can reach the fire ring faster. Rayon's condition had improved significantly. His fire ring had achieved 1 star. Every day that passed was a step forward. The fire ring within Rayon's body steadily trained and grew stronger. 2 more years of steady training came and went. Every day, young Rayon kept busy with many activities. My usual morning routine includes playing with Sylvia and Helen. I'm pretty sure there's no kid on this continent with a busier schedule than mine, and yet I still find time to sleep. As for nighttime, that's reserved for training. And so, time went by, and here I am at 5 years old. Rayon's skills have grown a lot by now, and I've achieved my 2nd fire ring. My soul feels a bit stronger now, thanks to the power of the 2nd fire ring. My mana has grown with the 2nd fire ring's effect. My willpower has increased thanks to it, too. My strength has gone up. He smiled confidently. The boy read each line carefully, beaming with excitement. Finally, I did it. I created my 2nd fire ring. Rayon looked noticeably more energetic. With the 2nd fire ring, the flames formed a cross shape. My sensitivity to mana has improved a little. All of this is because of this message window. Lost in my studies, a voice outside the door brought me back. Oh dear, master. Helen stepped into the room. Are you up now? Should I take your clothes to wash? Rayon quickly replied, Yes, please do. Rayon watched Helen busy with her work and thought deeply. Just as I guessed, she can't see this message window. The progress update window has appeared for Rayon ever since I was reborn. I've seen this window and my status ever since hitting the 1st fire ring. When Rayon was younger, it was all pretty confusing. At first, I had no idea what it was. Thanks to my sharp wit, I quickly figured out it was a super handy system that let me check my condition instantly. Status screen. First fire ring status, bone frost infection, weak stamina, baby Rayon back then. When Helen showed up out of nowhere, I got startled, but reading her face, I guess she probably couldn't see those messages. Rayon rubbed his chin, deep in thought. Still, my weak health and that pesky ice curse hadn't changed one bit. Even though I hit 2 stars, I wondered how tough it would have been without the fire elixir. That thought lingered. It wasn't just the elixir. Rayon pondered for a while longer. For sure, Sylvia, Helen, and the others at the mansion had helped somehow over the past 5 years. Their care must have played a part. Helen left, leaving Rayon alone, his mind swirling. The boy, even so, was only 5 years old. Plenty of time ahead, no reason to rush. Turns out, when I was little, Rayon got worn out not just because he was a kid, but because his body was cursed with that troublesome ice chill. The weak stamina was related too. That's why even simple movements wore me out. But Rayon quickly perked up. In my past life, I was the top assassin. Now, I also know the best training methods for the fire ring. Using that experience as my base, as soon as I get the fire ring, all those bad physical problems will vanish completely. Plus, if I master Ziegart's sword techniques, I'll definitely be able to take down Daryus. But I have to wait for the perfect moment to strike. Rayon is still just a 5-year-old boy. I know that. Still, I can't rush it. Daryus stands among the strongest on the continent. Thinking of his face, Rayon told himself, losing my cool too soon won't get me anywhere. Very few can kill him. Even if it takes ages, I'll patiently build my strength until the chance shows up. Then I'll end it for good. So Rayon had to keep himself calm. Time to train a bit more. Right then, Sylvia came in. You awake? Little Rayon looked up at his mom with his big, innocent eyes. Sylvia held his clothes and said, remember I told you we have to go somewhere together? Change into your outfit and meet me in the main hall. Rayon looked up absent-mindedly and asked, is today the day? He drifted back into thought. The 6 kings and 5 demons balance power on the continent, and Rayon felt lucky to be part of that thanks to the Ziggard family. My family was reborn as one of the 6 kings. The boy Rayon rode with his mom, gazing out the window of the carriage. The 6 kings bring blessings, while the 5 demons stir up trouble. Meanwhile, other forces have a judgment ritual to decide who's on the right side or not. Today was the Giga's ritual. Inside a room, the banquet was packed with people, mostly high-ranking nobles chatting boisterously. It's been a while. This is our first time meeting since last year's judgment ritual, right? Yeah, I've been busy with missions overseas. Ha, any direct heirs taking part this year? Whispers spread around. I heard it's Karun's 4th son. Ha ha, I heard it's Sylvia too. The moment Sylvia and Rayon stepped in, they caught wind of some not-so-friendly whispers. What's this? Sylvia, that loser. As soon as she showed up, the whole room went dead silent. Every single eye locked on the pair. Everyone was glaring at Sylvia and the kid, Rayon, with nothing but cold judgment. Sylvia gripped Ron's hand tightly, weaving through those murmurs. So that's Sylvia's boy, huh? The kid's still so young. Rumor has it he's sick. So guess those whispers might hold some truth. How could he dodge that stigma? He's got the bloodline of a failure, after all. Should I just call him the failed spawn? After a bit, the hushed voices kept going. It's unbelievable she's even allowed in here. Do we really need a judgment ritual for the offspring of a failure? I honestly hope I never have to set eyes on them again. The standards have seriously slipped. Rayon felt the sting of it too. Being born into this family, those harsh words hit him hard. The mainline heirs were giving him a tough time. What now? Who knows? I don't mind the insults. But those two just stayed quiet, walking right through the taunts. Talk about playing it cool. Rayon froze when he overheard all that. The kid came to a halt. Sylvia caught on fast and rushed over to calm him down. Don't worry, Rayon. The boy looked up at his mom. Sylvia gave him a gentle smile and softly said, just focus on me, Rayon, and everything will make sense. Stop worrying now. Then a voice interrupted, the master is arriving. Calm footsteps made their way inside. Rayon looked up, following the sound. It's been a while, right? Like 5 years? His grandfather, Lord Glenn, had entered. He settled commandingly into the golden-rimmed chair in the main hall. He was Rayon's grandfather and the Robert Glenn family's top assassin, Ziggard Glenn. Glenn spoke slowly and deliberately. Seems like everyone is here now. Suddenly, he clapped his hands, signaling the start. Without delay, a massive sword shot down from above. Rayon stared wide-eyed. Is that the judgment sword? Glenn announced. Let the judgment ritual officially begin. Glenn immediately motioned to his subordinates. At his command, the sword descended sharply, eyes fixated upwards. Right then, Glenn boldly proclaimed, the judgment ritual begins. Rayon's eyes went wide in surprise. So that's the Judgment Sword. When someone places their hand on it, their mana powers get revealed. Glenn's subordinates started calling out names from the list. Let's get started. First up is Glenn Ziegart. There's a child about Rayon's age waiting upstairs. Rayon responded clearly, yes. The kid, Burden, stepped down and touched the sword. The skull of the child, still young, had an unformed crown. That crown will close and fuse once he hits around 4 years old. After that, their mana powers become stable. As soon as Burden touched the sword, it reacted. That's why all the kids were gathered to measure their mana strength during this judgment ritual. Everyone burst into applause, impressed. The boy wields wind. Look at the sword glow. His mana quality is top tier. Truly the son of Karen. Glenn nodded in approval. This attribute suits a swordsman well. Focus on feeling the wind's energy. The next name was called out. Next is Ron Sulon from the vassal family. Sulon. Rayon watched confidently, having figured out how the sword worked. The sword's blade glowed to reveal a pure mana, with the mana attribute shining at the hilt. Rayon suddenly understood it's how he sizes up everyone's talents. Ziggart Runin was hailed by everyone as the Solian family's prodigy. It's no surprise the girl shares the Sully name. She's linked to Lord Burden. Only Rayon felt a bit tired of it all. This family sure is obsessed with talent. He also knew his own fate. He already guessed his results wouldn't be great. Even though he made it to a 2-star flame link, his manifold still had plenty of that cold, icy chill energy. Ah well, didn't really bother him. The others kept reading. Finally, it was your turn. Everyone was all eyes, waiting for the name to be called. It was Rayon Ziegart Glenn. Suddenly, Glenn's focus sharpened. A flicker of worry crossed his eyes. Rayon stepped up when called. Please come forward, Sylvia said softly. Let's go, Rayon. Yes, he replied. Unlike the other kids, Rayon kept a blank expression. Didn't hold any expectations. Just wanted to see which attribute fit him best and which path to develop later. Sylvia smiled warmly and gently said, Did you watch how the others did it? Just follow their lead. Rayon answered, Got it. Huh, he sighed. Ah. Rayon reached out his hand calmly, barely brushing the sword's blade. Unlike the soft glow from before, as soon as Rayon touched the sacred sword, it exploded into a dazzling golden light, like flames dancing. Rayon stared, puzzled by that sudden glow. His eyes went a little distant. Before him, hundreds of monsters in all shapes appeared out of nowhere. He thought to himself, what on earth is this? Rayon watched, completely baffled. The boy sat down, eyeing the figures standing before him, and wondered, who is this guy? The man raised his sword high, a roaring aura pouring off him. With a swift, sure strike, he took down all the monsters in seconds. The monsters vanished, leaving behind a mysterious light. Rayon blinked, still totally confused. Wait, why is the sword glowing around them? Whispered voices of judgment and mockery filled the air. Look, the light hasn't even covered half the blade. Glenn quickly called out, Judgment ritual's over. You're dismissed. Everyone filed out quickly, none even bothering to hide their sneers. Those smiles were specially saved for Rayon and his mom, dripping with disdain. The butler bowed respectfully. I'll take my leave now. With the last guest gone, the door slammed shut behind young Master Burden. Glenn stayed seated, voice rough, as he said, I doubt this will amount to anything serious. He directed the words to Lord Glenn. Not expecting much, he wasn't too let down or embarrassed. Looks like the boy hit his ceiling, he mused. Honestly, I never had high hopes for this kid. Then suddenly, Glenn noticed something. The sacred sword was still glowing, its light growing ever brighter. Glenn stared, astonished. The sword shone brilliantly. Frowning, he recalled 5 words that kept echoing in his mind, golden light of the sun. The radiant power the first head of the Ziggard family wielded was immense, strong enough to hold in balance even demonic fire. He replayed the words he had read, golden mana, golden fire. This blinding golden mana had only been seen once before. Glenn thought deeply. Through all the Ziggard family's history, this light stirred a memory. It was stunning, dazzling, bathed in golden brilliance. It was the legendary golden fire. The more Glenn pondered, the more impressed he became. Rayon, this kid really showed promise. The very next morning, Rayon checked the new details popping up on his status window. Name, Rayon Ziegart. Title, is greater than none. Current status, Gwen. Weak stamina, lowered physical strength. Decreased mana, affinity level, 2-star flame link pretty feeble, just 2 stars. Alright. Rayon grinned with satisfaction. Looks like I'm on the verge of unlocking my 3rd flame link. It's been 7 years since the first judgment ritual. Time went by chilly and unyielding. Rayon had grown noticeably taller. His face still looked young, but there was definitely a new maturity about him. Now on 12 years old, the years slipped by as Rayon's mind drifted. It had been 3 years since the judgment ritual took place, and with steady training, my 2 flame links are close to upgrading. The boy sat on the soft, green grass, deep in thought. If only I could break this ice curse, my progress would speed up so much. My water resistance has hit 2 stars now, and that freezing chill crawling over my body is gone. So, my limbs aren't stiff like before. Sure, moving around is still a little tough, but it's way better than before. So Rayon told himself, time to get moving. Just as he settled in, a voice called out, "Brother Rayon, it's Mom, Sylvia." She said, "You need to get ready now. What are you doing just sitting here? Come on, we can't be late." Rayon responded, his tone serious. "Yeah, it's time for me to join the second judgment ritual. Guess I'll face those weird things again." A few hours later, the ritual wrapped up. Everyone greeted each other warmly, and finally Greer spoke, "Good job, everyone." So that's the end of the judgment ritual. Rayon sat quietly, lost in thought. Maybe because only direct descendants were present, things moved faster. I think they're going to call my name next. Rayon Ziegart. Glenn looked stern as he asked his grandson, "You should have gotten the summons to join the basic training course as a family member by now. So why haven't you heard back after a whole month?" Rayon blinked, confused. What's he talking about? Basic training? Sylvia quickly stepped in to defend her son. "Father, Rayon isn't like the other kids. He still has the ice curse in him, so training would be too much right now. Were you hiding this?" Rayon pieced it together after watching his mother's reaction. Sylvia was in on it. Glenn's expression hardened. "This is the Ziggard domain." He frowned deeply, looking serious. "No exceptions or excuses exist for those carrying the Ziggard name. Can't walk? Then crawl and train. A true Ziggard family member embodies this spirit." Sylvia panicked and pleaded, "No, please. Give him some more time." Len snapped back angrily. Sylvia was taken aback. "Without permission? Are you planning to run off again? Taking that kid with you?" Glenn shot harsh words at his only daughter. "On this land, you live as a Ziggart family member or not at all. If you don't like it, then just leave right now." As soon as he finished, everyone around erupted in whispers. "What's going on? Running off again? Well, this will be interesting. She hardly has the mana or mental strength to break free now. I can't believe someone like her is from the direct line." Rayon watched his mom suffer, then it hit him. "Now I get it. It's no surprise Sylvia gets treated this way." Rayon figured out that it was because she had left the family. He carefully connected the dots. Sylvia didn't have any aura, even though she'd been trained in martial arts. That meant her mental energy had been shattered, and her mana flow was completely ruined. Then she left the family and met my father, marrying him. Fate wasn't kind to Sylvia. But after she got pregnant with me, my father passed away, and she had no choice but to come back home. Sylvia felt powerless. She knew convincing her stern father was impossible, so she just turned away and left again. Rayon looked at his mother. She had abandoned her position in the direct line and now returned. She was treated worse than members of the collateral branch. But that was how others saw it. In their world, the assassin Ron appeared with an overwhelming aura, making Sylvia flinch in fear. But when she turned around, there was no assassin, only her son, Rayon, standing there, full of spirit. Confident and proud, Rayon thought, as Sylvia's son, "I can't stand watching my mother be treated this way." Seeing him step forward, Sylvia shouted, "Rayon, what are you doing? Come back here, young master. I've got this." Rayon assured her with steady eyes. "It's okay, Mom." He stepped forward and spoke firmly to Glenn. "By your command, I will join the training course starting next month, as you ordered." Just then, Daniel sat beside Glenn and chimed in. "But I didn't even know there was a training course. And I'm worried about Ron too. No matter what you call it, basic training isn't something a sick person can handle. You should back out immediately." Rayon met their concern and judgmental looks, then spoke clearly and loudly. "I already carry the Ziggart name, so I'm prepared to pay whatever price comes with that. I'm going to join the training." Glenn's face twisted with anger as he scolded, "How dare you tarnish the Ziggart name? Do you even understand how serious it is to carry that name?" The pressure Glenn put on Rayon made him a little scared. He looked up at his grandfather, his face paling. Suddenly, a few drops of blood fell from Rayon's eyes. Horror was written all over his face. His eyes were wide and stunned, as if his very flesh was being torn apart. His hands trembled, struggling to stay calm. "Even just one look from him does this to me. It feels like my heart's being twisted. It hits me harder than Robert ever did." In his mind, Rayon thought, "Is this the warrior? The northern king of destruction?" Sylvia quickly ran over and hugged Rayon. "Your Highness." Still young, Rayon didn't understand what was happening. Daniel also stepped forward. "Your Highness, he's just a kid. He doesn't know what's going on. Please ease up on the pressure." Glenn's voice raised with heavy authority, his words trembling everyone who heard them. "I am speaking," Daniel stammered. "I'm sorry, Your Highness." Sylvia kept holding Rayon tight. "Father, Rayon's health can't handle this training. Please, I beg you, Father, ease the pressure." Still in shock, Rayon quietly muttered to himself. Assassins have to live in the shadows. Being an assassin means every moment is closer to death than life. They'll never show themselves. His past pushed him forward. And at just 12 years old, Rayon stepped up. They'll never show themselves. His past pushed him forward. And so Rayon, just 12 years old, took the lead. But now, I'm not that assassin I once was. Young Rayon turned to face his former self, reminding himself, I won't hide away in the shadows anymore. 12-year-old Rayon stared at his past self, firmly telling himself, I'm done living as an assassin. The boy clenched his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. He kept reminding himself of his new purpose. Right now, I'm Rayon Ziegart, and I'm going to bring Sylvia back to where she belongs, he declared aloud once again. No, it's because I grew up in a branch mansion instead of the main one that I didn't realize just how prideful the Ziggard name is. That's exactly why I want to see for myself what the real Ziggart legacy is all about. By joining the training, the reborn and happy Rayon was now under Sylvia's care and guidance. As Rayon, I'm going to protect Sylvia, the joy and the smiles of those dear to me. Since being reborn, hope and love have quietly sparked life in this heart that was once empty and broken. For the first time, I want to fight to protect others, not to take lives away. That's why I'm telling myself I must restore my mother's honor. I will reclaim everything with my own hands. Glenn had settled down, but his expression stayed serious. So, you're saying you'll judge the Ziggard family just through basic training? Rayon answered without missing a beat. Right now, that's the only way I can learn what the Ziggard family is really like, Glenn replied. Then I'll need to check everything personally to make sure the instructor is ready. He gave it his all, hoping not to let the boy down. After pushing himself so hard, Rayon stumbled and collapsed. In my past life, I was the top assassin, and now, I've mastered the legend of the 6 fire elements. If I can harness all that power, climbing to a high rank in the family isn't out of reach. But even as he fell, Rayon's fist stayed clenched tight. In his mind, his resolve echoed loud and clear. I'll prove just how tough the underdog really is. The family's boys trained with zeal. Karen sat nearby, arms crossed, a hint of skepticism showing. Is that kid even healthy? He barely moves. As the martial arts hall master, Karen Ziegart's secretary quickly reported, yes. Only 1 or 2 maids overheard the exchange between the saint and the family head. The young master must have been seriously sick, Karen thought. The last time I saw him, his body was off. How did he manage to handle the pressure from me? Clearing his throat, Karen said, now that I think about it, Sylvia was once the standout talent. He gave his secretary an order. Place someone in the annex near the garden. Rayon trained hard every day. He always pushed himself to be faster. Sylvia ran right behind, worried he might overdo it and wear himself out. She hurriedly called out, Rayon, don't push yourself too much. But Rayon kept giving it his all. At training ground number 5, Glenn arrived as everyone greeted him warmly. Let's all welcome the clan leader's visit. Welcome, Lord. Elsewhere, Rimmer lounged on the sofa, his hat pulled down over his eyes. Suddenly, a voice broke through. Quit pretending to be asleep. Get up. Startled, Rimmer shot up when he saw Glenn. Wow, I can't believe you caught me. Smiling, he said, you're the only one who can call out my fake sleeping. Clan leader, he added, arms crossed with playful reproach. The trainers are all sweating and running circles while you're just chilling here, Glenn said with a casual grin. That's because they follow my lead. I think things through, and they handle the heavy lifting. Fair deal, right? He shook his head, amused. At 50, you still act like a kid. Glenn chuckled and said, people change, that's the first sign of getting old. But hey, I'm Elf Rimmer. He shot back, then got serious. Did you come here because of your youngest grandson? Folding his arms, he added, Miss Sylvia stopped by too, but I didn't expect you, the clan leader, to show up in person. Surprised, Glenn said. So, Sylvia's been here already? Yeah, she asked me to make sure Rayon doesn't get hurt. He said, hands on hips, then warned. If that's your take as well, then this trip might be pointless. The clan leader himself declared that nobody's supposed to interfere with training on ground number 5, not even you. His tone shifted suddenly to serious. If you're worried about your youngest grandson, Glenn replied calmly, then I'm included in that concern too. He hadn't expected that response and was caught off guard. Wait, what? He's seriously laying down the law, no easing up on training. Turn up the heat until it's just right and weed out the weak. Rimmer looked stunned, but quickly closed his mouth. So your grandson's going to get kicked out, then? Is that what you mean, clan leader? He switched to self-pity mode, shyly covering his face. Wow, you really care about your grandkids more than I thought. Could it be you didn't manage well with Miss Sylvia, and now you're dumping all that love on the little guy? No way. Hearing that, he got a little fired up and said, if you weren't my old army buddy, I'd have had your head by now. He reminded Glenn not to go easy on the boy and to clearly separate the strong from the weak. Only those who meet the mark get to stay in training. Rimmer turned with a grin. Then it's an honor to follow your orders. Glenn felt he'd achieved what he wanted and started to leave. Well, do whatever you want. I'm out of here. He waved and smiled warmly. Safe travels, clan leader. Folding his arms, he stared out the window, murmuring, Rayon, you've got me really curious. What exactly are you? Then the system popped up. Congratulations. You've unlocked the third fire circle level. 3 stars achieved. Your body and soul feel a bit stronger thanks to the power of the 3-star fire circle. Strength, agility, and endurance have all improved. Mana affinity, willpower, and energy levels have also been boosted by the 3-star fire circle's effect. 3-star abilities unlocked. One of the 9 strands belonging to the Frost Mist Cursed Lord has vanished. Rayon, sitting on the bed while managing the system, thought to himself, 3 stars is a whole different league. My body senses things better, and my mind feels sharper than ever. He recalled Sylvia's concern about him. Wondering why he had to push himself from day one, he whispered, it just happened that way. Thanks to Sylvia stepping in, his muscles developed with less struggle. He flexed his arm, feeling the progress. Even the magic station window helped to speed up his growth. Life's like a chessboard sometimes, but this is just the family training starting line. Glenn's notorious for his brutal training that goes beyond the 3-star level. Just the basics needed to get started as an apprentice in the family. You need a strong foundation to build a tall house and face whatever comes. What he really wanted was to prove himself on the military front by showcasing top-notch skills. He was determined to silence anyone who doubted him. His prime target was Robert. So, in the end, the legendary sword of Daryus Robert made its appearance. Rayon thought deeply about it. I won't stop until I've slit his throat. Suddenly, a voice calling his name startled him. It was Sylvia. You're still up? He got flustered. Oh, mother, he asked curiously. What are you doing here so late? She sat on the bed and said, Tomorrow, you're heading to the training grounds to begin your basic training. Right, I came to talk to you, she said with a warm and gentle smile. Do you really have to go? She confessed quietly, Honestly, I still want to stop you. You always hold back, no matter how much it hurts. I wouldn't know what to do if you got hurt badly during training. Sylvia placed her hand on Rayon's shoulder, clearly uneasy. I'm not saying you can't go, just. How about delaying it for 1 year? Just 1 year. But his answer was already set, making her heart skip a beat. No, I can't turn back now. He recalled the looks people gave him and said, Every time I see relatives from far and wide, every time I meet someone, the way they look at me, it's like they're seeing a weakling, he said sadly, pressing his hand against his chest. When others look down on you, mother, it makes me so mad. That's why I can't back down. His resolve was rock solid. As long as he trained hard, they wouldn't be able to look down on him anymore. Those words struck a deep chord with Sylvia. She smiled, bowed her head, and her cheeks flushed softly. She dug her nails into her palm nervously and said, You're very wise, Rayon. You've probably pieced together why I live alone and why people curse me. Then she shared her story of love. I met your father during a mission and fell for him, but because of his status as a knight, we couldn't be together easily. For love, I made a painful choice. I drained myself of veins and spiritual energy and left the clan because of it. Sylvia decided it was time to unveil a long-kept secret. Actually, you have an older sister. She's 2 years older than you. Her name is Sia. The peaceful days didn't last long. While I was living quietly, Eden's army found us and tried to kill us. She and her husband had no choice but to draw their swords and fight. Your father wasn't strong enough, and I was pregnant. Sylvia's eyes filled with fear. That's why we couldn't do much. A miracle happened, but it was too late. Thankfully, your father always protected me silently, but they were too far away. By the time they got there, it was all over. She winced at the painful memory. Tears fell freely from her eyes. At that time, your father and sister lost their lives. Sylvia only smiled faintly whenever she recalled it. I had nowhere else to go, no other choice but to return to the clan. That's why I'm seen as a sinner here. Her face was heavy with sorrow. I still don't know what to say to your grandfather. After hearing all this, Rayon thought to himself how selfish Sylvia really was. He judged her as someone who abandoned her duty to the clan, chasing after her own happiness, only to come back and find someone who truly cares about her. He finally understood why she was treated so coldly. But Sylvia gave him a fresh start. For the first time, he met someone who genuinely loved him like this. After everything, he thought she was selfish. But at least to him, she was the only mom he'd ever had in both his lives. Out loud, he asked, Mom, do you regret it? Would you want to turn back time to before you left home? She smiled and said, No, not at all. She was thinking about the happy moments with the one she loved. I lived in this house like I was invisible. Only after I left did I feel truly alive, and that was enough for me. Her smile slowly grew brighter, washing over her face with genuine joy. Back then, I was truly happy, and now I'm happy because you're in my life. Sylvia looked down, her voice soft as she continued. I'm so sorry, Rayon. I wasn't a very good mother. Rayon quickly reached out, placing his hand over hers to reassure her. It's okay. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. He glanced at her and thought, no matter what others say about my mom being selfish, she's the one and only precious mother I have. He met Sylvia's teary-eyed gaze, feeling touched. The plan for revenge would move forward once he helped her reclaim the clan heir's spot. Suddenly, a tear of joy slid down Sylvia's cheek. She couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears. Rayon grew flustered. Mom, why are you crying like this? It's already pretty late. He stepped out of the room with a tired sigh, and finally she calmed down. He sat on the bed, quietly talking to himself. I should check on how Flame Link's training is going, then get some sleep. The real training starts soon. Crossing his legs, Rayon pressed his palms together. A warm green energy began to glow from him. He thought, not bad. Flame Link's spinning has gotten faster now that it's 3 stars. If it spins this fast at 3 stars, just imagine how speedy it'll be once I hit intermediate level. Suddenly, a tiny flame flared up sharply, making him jump back. A voice echoed suddenly, at last, the moment has arrived. The flame blinked with a blank grin. Your wrath has reached out to me. I am the essence of the Emperor, known as the Second Demon, Lord of the Demon World. I'll help you seek revenge with my wrath. Rayon was totally confused. What in the world? The system just popped up out of nowhere. Some mysterious energy was activating. The energy of wrath has been formed. Wrath has awakened. It narrowed its eyes, studying Rayon's body and soul. What's a kid like you doing here? Rayon was just as puzzled. Who are you? It seemed just as confused, as if it should be the one asking the question. Who exactly are you? My wrath isn't something a nobody like you can generate. Its eyes suddenly widened. Wait, no, it's you deep inside. You're hiding a fierce grudge. The essence of the Emperor is crawling through your body. Give me your soul, and in return, I'll help you get the revenge you've always craved. Rayon thought of Robert, wondering if this was linked to the anger he felt toward Daryus before Robert passed away. But now it was too late. He looked it square in the eye and stated, No, I don't need your help. I'll avenge myself. It looked surprised. Huh? It wrapped around him while he thought, there won't be a second chance for me. I can't let anyone else fight my battles. Then he said aloud, I'll be the one to take down Daryus. The spirit responded, You must be mistaken. Then the kid bared its teeth and made things clear. I'm not here to bargain. Then it flared up a huge flame and declared, I am the Emperor's essence, and my decision is final. Rayon looked puzzled, a hint of worry crossing his face, rubbing his shoulder as he wondered, What's going on? Why does this flame feel so chilly? Could it be? The flame roared fiercely and said in a chilling voice, You only need to give me your body as sacrifice. Then it lunged wildly at him. He froze, his whole body stiff, unable to respond. The Emperor's essence erupted, swelling in size, completely engulfing Rayon. Meanwhile, the glass of water on the nightstand cracked just a little. He grabbed his chest, his body heavy. So cold. I don't even feel like this body is mine anymore. It's like his mind was frozen, too. His elemental affinity was ice, not fire. Slowly, the Emperor's essence's face started to appear. It spoke like it was hypnotizing him. Think it over. Let your anger loose. Even the gods? The Emperor's essence, will end them. He trembled uncontrollably from the cold. The bitterness deep in his heart grew. He had a skill to resist water, so he could bear it a bit longer. But this attack wasn't just about cold. A bad feeling crept over him facing this being. It kept taunting his anger. The Emperor's essence whispered by his ear, I'll crush their heads, feast on their flesh, drink their blood. Hurry and surrender. Give me your body. He thought of his loved ones. If he gave this body up, who knows what would happen to them? Sylvia and the household staff. He couldn't let them pay the price, even if it cost him his life. The Emperor's essence shifted back to its green flame form. Let go of your rage and accept me, and you'll find peace. But you're choosing to fight like this for no good reason. I never wanted to harm this body. I had plans for it later. But I guess keeping it won't get us anywhere. I won't show you mercy anymore. I'll just eat you alive and be done with it. His face was twisted in pain at that moment. Feels like my body's about to break apart. He gritted his teeth and held on tight. I'm at my limit. This body can't take much more. If it goes on, I'm done for. Do I want to live? Suddenly, he snapped, alert, eyes wide as he clasped his hands and started to control his energy. If I can fight off the ice aura with my water-resistant skill, maybe I can endure the pain, both physical and mental, by using Flame Link to survive. This was his only chance. Fire and water skills merged, surprising the Emperor's essence. Its face showed confusion. Huh. It seethed with anger, refusing to accept the truth. Huh. I just woke up. How is this possible? A mere human dares to challenge me. Rayon's expression was fierce with determination. I'm taking my revenge myself. I won't let some lost soul take over my body. The Emperor's essence heard this and got so furious it nearly twisted itself out of shape, yelling, "Lost soul? How dare you call the demon lord of the demon world a lost soul?" Calmly, he shot back. You call yourself the demon lord but can't even beat me. Why keep poking the bear? Or is the real demon lord already dead? You ought to vanish, the essence scowled. How dare you make fun of me? He started sweating nervously. He figured he just woke up, which might explain why he couldn't tap into his full power yet. Out of nowhere, the system popped up some kind of supportive ability. What the heck is this? Why now? Imperial Essence realized what was happening and let out a yell. That's my power. The status window. How do you have it? He was taken aback. His stats were clearly on display. Rayon asked, what is this status window and message? How does that have anything to do with you? Imperial Essence, still annoyed, replied, of course, it's connected. I created that system myself. But do you know why I can use it? That just made him even more confused. What's this system supposed to do? It feels like it's messing with me, he said with a dark expression. I don't owe you an explanation. Still, he kept pushing. Is this to help me level up or something? Imperial Essence didn't expect him to catch on so fast. Stammering, he said, how'd you figure that out? But Rayon's face didn't change a bit, thinking quietly, he can't even hide his emotions. No wonder he's so wrathful. He felt energy flowing through his body, linking with the system. Weird. The flame link feels stronger than it did in my past life, so it's all because of the system. Imperial Essence started losing his cool, growling angrily as he shouted, sacrifice yourself and give me back my power, now. He roared and opened his mouth wide. Hand it over. The power lashed onto Rayon's body. What do you think you're doing? Rayon crossed his arms, expression serious, and said, worth a shot, even if I didn't use much mana on that punch. He stood firm, watching Imperial Essence boil over with rage. How dare a human treat me like this? Imperial Essence wondered, is he some ghost no one can see? Because if so, aura won't work on him. He'd been showing off like this, yet nobody had come to his aid. Waving his hand, he shot the flames off somewhere else. Maybe I'm the only one who can see and feel him. Suddenly, he screamed, catch this. To Rayon's surprise, a green flame wrapped around his wrist and quickly formed a ring with a snowflake design. Rayon stared at it, baffled. Imperial Essence's voice echoed from the ring. My seal just broke, but my power will be back. When the time comes, you won't be able to stop me. I'll haunt you until all your wrath and resentment are gone, he said, frowning and feeling uneasy. This guy was seriously annoying. He thought, I really want to get rid of him. He pictured Sylvia sleeping soundly, but if I force him out, the system might vanish, and who knows what chaos that would bring. Sylvia and Helen might try to stop me. Rayon brought the ring closer to his eye to inspect it more carefully. Better keep him close so I can watch him. I trust myself to handle this. Hopefully, I can stay in control. Outside, night had fallen, and the moon hung high. They kept bickering back and forth. It was kind of random, but in the end, they went with the flower bracelet. That doesn't suit you at all. It's my personal style. Don't judge me. Fine, whatever. At last, a new day dawned, the bones slowly dissolving as clouds blanketed the towering hills. Helen tried to soothe Sylvia. The young master will be okay. Sylvia was tense. I know, but still. Suddenly, Rayon's voice called out, I'm ready. He walked down the stairs, a bright smile lighting up his face. The crow flapped over to the training ground. Helen reminded Rayon, young master, please be careful. The crow headed toward the training grounds. Helen called out to Rayon, young master, don't forget to be careful. Don't push yourself too hard, okay? He replied, I remember. Then Helen turned to Sylvia, who was sniffling, and started a gentle chat. Miss Sylvia, sending off the young master like this, he's going to be broke-hearted for sure. Hearing that, she quickly sat down and placed her hand on his shoulder. Rayon, be safe on your way. Don't worry, he said. Like I told you, if it gets too tough, just skip it. No need to push yourself too hard. Right after, he waved goodbye and left. Sylvia watched her son's back and murmured, he'll be all right. Helen gave her a comforting nod. The young master has really improved. He'll get through this training and come back stronger. Her eyes welled up with sorrow. Yeah, he's far better than before, Helen said, thinking back to how things used to be. She tried to cheer her up. Miss Sylvia, with Rayon's hard work, he'll succeed. He's famous for his sharp wit and skills at the Ziggard. He's got this. Rayon hugged her, offering reassurance. That's right, Mom. I promise I won't get hurt. Hearing such grown-up words from her son, Sylvia's tears mixed happiness and a little sadness. Don't worry, I'll keep my promise. Sylvia pressed her hand to her heart, recalling Rayon's voice. Trust me, she whispered his name softly. Rayon. As she watched his back disappear from sight, tears slipped down her cheeks. She trembled, then turned away, praying for his safe return from the 5th Ziggard training ground. The students were starting to mingle. Which house do you belong to? I bet the rules aren't too strict here, right? My folks told me to make it into the top 10, someone said. Rayon looked around, thinking silently, just like the rumors said. So many people showed up this year. He walked alone, ignoring the kids playing nearby. Not only relatives, but also family-nominated students were attending the Ziggard training. He kept recalling what Helen said. Since so many people showed up this year, they had to open 6 training grounds. Suddenly, a few whispers caught his attention. Isn't that him? Some people eyed him, murmuring, check out those muscles. Just a touch and he'd probably fall apart. A sickly kid like that? He's gonna quit halfway for sure. Why is he here pretending to be a big shot? And he's even trash-talking Imperial Essence and the flower bracelet, so outdated. Imperial Essence caught wind of this and got furious. What are you saying? It snapped, storming up to the pair and shouting curses. Trash, you clueless fools. Imperial Essence will shatter your bones and gouge your eyes out. Suddenly, Rayon cut in calmly, looking straight at them. Why are you two gossiping about him behind his back? The two were taken aback. How dare you? You're just a spoiled brat stuck in the annex, not even pure blood, just some outsider family. Rayon stayed calm and tilted his head. And what gives you the right to say how dare you when you come from a collateral branch? That seemed to hit a nerve. They fell silent. Didn't that phrase belong only to people with lower standing? One of them lost his cool, lunged forward, grabbed Rayon's collar, and threw a punch. You're such an unreasonable brat. Rayon's eyes glowed fiercely, his expression downright terrifying. Suddenly, a voice boomed. Cut it out right now. It was Burden stepping in from behind. Training's about to start. What are you two doing? In front of everyone? You seriously think you can mess with the Ziggard family's name? The two who saw him were caught off guard, scratching their heads nervously, stammering, Sorry, Burden. He stepped up to Ron, crossed his arms, and said, You need to know your place. His face oozed with arrogance. You're just a tiny speck of dust I could wipe away without a second thought. If you don't want to get kicked out of the annex, then keep your head down and stay quiet. Burden thought about the folks in the annex, feeling a little jealous. That kid in front of him had caught the clan leader's eye, but he was riding on luck, not real skill. He gritted his teeth in frustration. Some clueless idiot who doesn't even deserve training, acting all big for no reason. Turning his back, he started to walk away, not forgetting to throw a warning to Rayon. If you don't plan on joining the training, then get out of here right now. Otherwise, stay out of my sight because you won't survive this training. Rayon replied casually, making Burden blink in surprise. I'm done listening to your nonsense. It was time for him to fire back. You're a direct descendant, sure, but you don't have any rank. You think you can kick me out of the annex? You haven't even become a student yet. Saying that, his face looked a little annoyed. Oh, maybe you've got a shot if you go whining and begging your dad. Burden twisted his mouth in disgust. How dare a collateral descendant act like that? Just as tensions were about to boil over, the nearby door swung open, and in stepped Rimmer with his long, fluid stride. He looked amused and called out loudly, Whoa, looks like you guys have already started fighting. Must be because you young folks have some fire in you, huh? Rayon immediately recognized him. Isn't that Rimmer, the Ziggard family's light sword? He heard Rimmer retired after damaging his mental energy. Still smiling, Rimmer said, How about you save the fighting for after the opening ceremony? Rayon's mind raced. Didn't expect him to show up here. Burden clicked his tongue and turned away. Rimmer addressed all the students loudly. Welcome, everyone. I'm the chief instructor, overseeing your training. He flashed a bright smile as he introduced himself. I'm Rimmer, and I'm looking forward to working smoothly with all of you. Standing tall with hands on his hips, Rimmer spoke with confident ease. I hear there are 160 students training here, but only 8 instructors. That's way too many, so I'm going to narrow that down with a test. At this, Rimmer's eyes gleamed with excitement. Exactly. Only a quarter of you will make it. The students below were stunned. Just keep that few? No way. What's going on here? I'm just sorting out the good from the bad. You know I only want the cream of the crop. Imperial Essence bristled at this, fuming. This arrogant jerk. How dare he look down on Imperial Essence? I'll rip the ears right off this little punk. Rayon grabbed the bracelet and quietly slipped away. Rimmer sat down in a chair and kept talking. Here, I make the rules. If you've got complaints, take them up with the clan leader. I'm starting now. His face was calm and steady. What are you all waiting for? Get moving. Everyone looked confused, struggling to figure out what was happening. Still, without understanding why, everyone took off running like their legs were on fire. encouraged by his cheers. Endurance and grit form the backbone of martial arts. Keep running laps in the gym until I say otherwise. Give me your all full sprint. Imperial Essence murmured at this moment. If you want to lead, then step up. So why are you lagging behind? Why is he suddenly making us run like this? Rayon jawed casually. It's not a race, no need to outpace anyone. He reflected on Rimmer's personality quietly, lost in thought. What matters most to Rimmer is the potential and spirit within the students here. You seem truly exceptional. He wasn't concerned with surface-level stuff. Sweat streamed down his face, eyes burning with determination. Only those who could endure would pass this test. I'm confident I'll finish strong. When they noticed Burden and Runen, the others started to focus on them. Young Master Burden and Miss Runen, they really stood apart. Everyone talked about those two kids. Everyone's doing great, but they shine the brightest. And this isn't even their top speed. At this pace, they could run for hours non-stop. Their faces flushed crimson from exhaustion. They're 12 years old and already this impressive. Every time I think about their future, I get a little nervous. Eventually, one of them spotted Rayon. Is that the kid everyone's been talking about? Nope. Rayon's face looked worn out, clutching his chest tiredly, which made sense. The kid just couldn't keep up and kept falling behind. He's battling an illness, so running this fast was already a huge feat. They kept chatting, oblivious that Rimmer had quietly appeared behind Rayon, looking tired himself. This should be done soon, Rimmer said with a smirk, an intrigued glint in his eye. Fascinating. Have I crossed paths with a kid like him before? Glenn immediately came to mind. I used to think those whose potential couldn't be seen were the strongest, because no one could measure their depth. Then he pictured the grown-up futures of Burden and Runen. I can already see their unique traits and colors. I know what they're destined to become. Rimmer hesitated, staring at Rayon's back. But what about Rayon? Why is he so different? Rayon feels like a clear glass, no color to be found. Amused, realization dawned on his face. It means this kid's potential is beyond my grasp. Unable to hold it in, he burst out laughing. How utterly fascinating. The other students noticed Rayon falling behind and teased him. Look at him, acting all cocky, but ending up last anyway. He should be grateful he hasn't dropped out yet. It's only a matter of time. Watching Rayon's puzzled look, I bet he won't last another 10 minutes. Even Rimmer's eyes widened in surprise. No way. He wondered, is this training seriously just running? It's not merely exercise. Why are we only made to run like this? He recalled the terrifying nightmare from a past life. Back then, they unleashed monsters starved for days. He had to sprint for his life, not just jog in place. Now reflecting, a smile spread across his face. Could it really be this simple? All the students pushed hard toward the finish. Rayon ran at a steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. Passing right by Rimmer, he looked a bit flustered and thought, what's going on with that kid? How is he still running strong? He figured Rayon should have been huffing and sitting out by now. His stamina must have been completely drained long ago. This goes way beyond just being persistent or stubborn. That kid should have absolutely no energy left to keep going, right? Suddenly, he recalled the warriors he used to train. That kind of strength and grit only shows up in warriors who've trained relentlessly and stared death in the face more times than they can count. How on earth does this kid have such fierce determination? His face lit up with excitement. Speak up. Rayon. Ziggard. Interesting names. Burden. By now, he was completely drained but noticed Ron was hot on his heels. He felt a mix of frustration and confusion. Why? How is he still running? I thought there was no way his body could handle training. He remembered what the doctor said. According to Saint, Sylvia's son was probably going to die, so becoming a warrior, not even an option. And the last time I saw him, he was even worse off. That's when Burden caught Glenn's secret conversation. But how is he gritting his teeth like this? These kids are way too much trouble. Fine, I'll show them what I've got. Right then, he activated his skill. A lightning-like beam blasted out, controlling the healing aura flawlessly. There's a massive skill gap here. You seriously ready to just give up? Burden picked up speed and left everyone in the dust. Runen kept running like it was no big deal, and Rowan's eyes widened in surprise. He thought to himself, forget about that so-called top dog. He's just a kid. Then he glanced at Runen. Mentally, Runen seemed way more composed than him. He stayed focused and kept running with determination. We're not racing each other in this test. This is a battle against our own limits. No reason to get distracted by him and ruin my rhythm right now. The end. The sky was smothered by white clouds as bright sunlight poured down. Everyone was wiped out from the long run. All of them were panting hard. One of them even felt a twinge of jealousy, wiping sweat off his cheek and thinking, seriously, what is going on? How is he still going? I thought everyone said he was sick as a dog. But Rayon kept running with fierce determination. Does this kid even know what exhaustion means? He looked breathless but pushed forward, thinking, stop doubting myself. This is nothing. Right now, I'm about to freeze solid from the cold running through me. His heart seemed to blaze with a fiery red glow. It was like his chest was getting squeezed tight. Yet somehow, he still managed to stretch his stamina by using his flame link to the max. Even though he was tired, a smile stayed on his face. The one thing he was genuinely relieved about was how fast the flame link was growing. Looks like I've got to give it my all so it reaches full power. If I keep pushing like this, the essence taunted him up to this point. Pathetic, aren't you? Even with the Emperor's essence trying to take your body over, you're just falling behind, looking completely worn out. It flashed a big green flame, mocking him. Hand over your body to the Emperor's essence. Besides beating that green-haired guy, his eyes widened with strain, thinking, of all times, why now? Suddenly, the essence erupted, opening its mouth like it wanted to swallow him whole. I'm going to freeze them all in place. Even Rayon's body was under attack. Pain shot through him like lightning, grinding his teeth. Despite the agony, he pushed himself on. I have to tough it out. Anger was starting to drain his senses. Sweat dripped from his chin as his legs kept moving forward and his vision began to blur. But I have to act like nothing's going on for as long as I can. He reminded me of the core power of an emperor. Quit your silly antics and leave me be. That thing won't have any effect on me. The Emperor's essence flashed a grin and said, don't make me laugh. How could you be immune? Which mortal in this world can stand up against the Emperor's wrath? He clutched his chest, hearing that scornful voice. Let's see how long you can last, Rayon. Rayon opened his mouth wide, gasping for air. I've got to tough this out. If I show even a tiny crack right now, that thing will sense it, and if I slack off just a little, it'll dive in and rip me apart. The Emperor's essence, seeing his stubbornness, shouted, You daft fool! Why? Why doesn't the Emperor's wrath shake you? Oh man! He stumbled forward. His face darkened as real pain hit him. It feels like I'm on the edge of death. I can't even control my own body anymore. His vision blurred, fading fast. Breathing was a struggle now. His eyes flickered with only the faintest light left. Is this as far as I can push it? Just then, another student spoke up. Hey, you can stop now. Burden frowned. You're incredibly stubborn. Rayon leaned on one knee, panting, thinking. I nearly collapsed right there. This life's definitely not going to be easy. Runa watched him silently. The Emperor's essence couldn't believe it. Truly, a monster. How is this possible? He smirked and replied, Told you it's useless. It doesn't affect me. He placed a hand over his chest, feeling the intense heat, smiling as he thought. Still, it clearly helped boost my flame link growth. My body's stronger thanks to the status window. If I keep pushing like this, I'll absolutely make it. Suddenly, his gaze shot up and he froze. The system board had appeared. The conditions were met. Extreme effort, surpassing your own physical limits, stats enhanced, strength up, agility up, stamina up. The Emperor's essence was speechless. It couldn't believe what it was seeing. What on earth is happening? Why give extra stats for surviving the Emperor's wrath? Rayon couldn't hide his surprise, eyes wide as saucers. The Emperor's voice still echoed in his mind. This is absurd. Rimmer spoke up then. Well done, everyone. We'll end the test here, he said, making the crowd tense up. Oh, and about what I said before the run. Nobody expected it, but he suddenly flipped his tone, smiling and saying, I was just joking about wiping everyone out and keeping only a quarter of you. Everyone grumbled, muttering, What? I gave it my all, just for that, he calmly added. No way I'd kill off so many students on day one. They'd stop me from teaching if I did. Besides, did I ever say I'd eliminate you right after this test? Suddenly, his eyes sharpened, turning cold. But if you keep training like today, most of you won't make it. The room gasped at his words. Rimmer walked forward, speaking clearly. I told you all to run at full speed. Yet, out of 160, only one of you ran full speed straight to the finish. At this, Burton twitched. Some of you even tried to cheat with aura. He crouched down right in front of Rayon, resting his chin on his hand with a teasing smile. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what you all do, because the one taking the test is you, not me. He lifted his finger, making a gesture that symbolized Rayon lying within it. But, as long as you follow my instructions properly, you definitely won't fail the test, so no need to stress about that. Well, it's easier said than done, Rimmer replied, resting a hand on his hip and adding, From this moment on, you'll be temporary rookies. I'll remove the temporary status if you pass the test within the next few months. He beamed and said, By the way, I was thinking of choosing a top rookie as well. No rankings for everyone else. The sky was clear and bright. He still had more to share. Oh, and you'll get to stay in the fancy accommodations the family prepared. Plus, there's a training field on the left side, so feel free to check everything out there. That's all for now. The forest stretched wide with towering ancient trees. Rimmer slid his hands into his pockets and ambled along. Then he said, I've got a guest waiting at my dreamstone. Right, my lord. That guest is none other than Green. He asked, how's everything coming along? He shut his eyes and responded, you shouldn't be the one asking me. True. Since you came all the way here, you probably already know everything. He brought up Burden and Runa, and you know how good I am at sizing people up. As expected, Burden and Runa are the top talents, and the other kids also show the potential to become future pillars of the family. He crossed his arms and said vaguely, but honestly, I didn't see much from Rayon. He went on. I can't figure out how that kid kept going at the end. His stamina should have run dry long ago. This is the first time I've seen anything like this since I last saw you, my lord. Rimmer leaned back on a rock, chuckling. The day dragged by so boringly, ever since my energy faded, but somehow, I feel like things are going to get interesting. Green, the cloaked figure, turned away and said, you're the one who wanted to guide those rookies. He left, his voice still lingering. Your job isn't to have fun, but to train those kids into warriors for the family, Ziggard responded. Of course, my lord. Then he reflected further. I have a feeling one of these rookies might just hold the family's future. Green caught the implication in Rimmer's words, but naturally, he didn't buy it, thinking it was just coincidence. That kid's probably not going to be a warrior. He said nothing more and let him go. A faint smile played on his lips. You know that's not true. Rayon sighed wearily and said, basic training is done. Time to head back to camp. The essence of the Emperor muttered, forget all that. That brat is a real pain. The other students shot him dirty looks. Absurd. They're all stuck in the same spot, cooking wolves together. Unless he's pulling some kind of trick, there's no way he lasted this long. You're right. I've definitely heard about his sickness. Crane folded his arms, confidently stating, it's got to be the elixir. I heard a rumor that the Holy Saint gave it to him, didn't he? Did that really happen? The two others nodded firmly, whispering. So he ran using the elixir's power and is pretending to be super talented just because he lasted until the end. What a shameless jerk. Crime tilted his head. What a brazen jerk. Crime tilted his head, unimpressed. Muttering under my breath, I thought, should we teach that cocky guy a lesson? Without hesitation, Rayon was slammed harshly against a tree. Confused, he asked, why'd you do that out of nowhere? With a smirk, the reply came, seriously, didn't you catch on? The two guys pointed right at his face and shouted, you're tossed aside by the rightful bloodline, yet here you are acting all high and mighty. You're just riding on some elixir's power, lucky to even have it. Haven't got that holy elixir. There's no way you'd be running like you did today. Silent as they hurled insults, he just took it all in, too used to this kind of talk by now. Who do you think you were pulling these stunts on us? People from the side bloodline don't come with special powers. He thought quietly, kids will be kids. What a ridiculous excuse. They stretched their fingers and cracked their joints in readiness. All right, no need to be scared. We're just taking you out here for a friendly chat, right? Just want to have a little talk. Crane stepped forward first. He cracked his knuckles and said, relax. This kind of thing happens all the time. With a mischievous grin, he threw a punch. You heard the teacher, we gotta talk it out and learn from each other. Even Imperial Essence looked down on him. My master took that kind of treatment and held it in. There's nothing to cry about here. Suddenly, Rayon threw a punch before anyone else could react. The two guys froze, eyes wide in shock. Everything seemed to slow down. He leaned back slowly. Even Imperial Essence was caught off guard. They hurried over to hold, crying, concerned, saying, yeah, you're right. Rayon's expression turned fierce, his hand veins standing out clearly. Let's settle this with our fists. One of the guys cautiously moved forward, but Rayon dodged like it was nothing. Then he jabbed hard into the guy's stomach, nearly knocking the wind out of him. The other guy, confused about his buddy's sudden attack, scolded, what are you doing? How do you lose like that? Before he could finish, Rayon landed a solid punch to his face. But Rayon didn't stop there. He gave Crine a kick that sent him rolling his eyes. Imperial Essence just couldn't believe what he was seeing. His face lit up with disbelief. You actually landed a punch? This moment is one for the history books. Rayon kept throwing punches. Soon, all that filled the air was the sound of flesh hitting flesh. Time felt like it stretched forever. One bruised-up guy groaned as he tried to get up, collapsing flat on the ground. Begging, he gasped, please, we can't breathe anymore. We messed up. Stop. But Rayon showed no mercy, stepping hard on the guy's hand. A sharp groan escaped him. Rayon bent down with a sly grin. Before this ends, I have a question for you, Crane. Crane's face turned pale, panic rising. Ah, who made you do this? Burden. He was honest. No, we did it. Burden had nothing to do with it. Crane was a bit shocked and doubted it. I thought he didn't like me. Maybe he's not that bad after all. Then Rayon asked again. You guys aren't gonna blab about this little chat to your buddies, right? Crane shook, clearly scared, replying, of course not. Rayon grabbed his hair, his face twisted with menace. Good. If you don't want to have another chat tomorrow, then keep your distance. Fear flooded Cran's eyes. We won't mess with you again. We were wrong, he ordered. Got it. Now, scram. Unexpectedly, Rimmer had been quietly watching the whole scene from behind the tree, a smile tugging at his lips. Truly a sight to behold, like watching a young noble back in the day. That kid's got real bloodline and a natural knack for battle, he thought to himself. He mumbled, a rare gem among the most talented. Ah, I can't wait to see more from you, little Rayon. Ah, now, it was midnight, with the moon glowing soft and a sky full of twinkling stars. Rayon sat in his room as the system materialized before him, now charged with wrath. Very pleased with how you responded, it said. Quick and sharp, you earn 1 point. Imperial Essence is furious. Is that how it works? Rayon rolled his eyes and said calmly, you created it, so how could you not know how it works? The system inched closer to his face, replying, of course. I haven't tried this system with anyone else before. That's because you stole it from Imperial Essence, it added. Rayon barely reacted as he stood up slowly. Oh yeah? Well, that's annoying, the system grumbled, annoyed. Ungrateful brat, it growled low. Then, unsatisfied, it offered, I've got a proposal for you. Rayon blinked in surprise. A proposal? Imperial Essence wants to make a bet. If you win, you get a stat point, but lose, and you'll immediately feel my wrath. The system, filled with wrath, suggested a wager. The deal: pass the official student test and claim first place. If you succeed, every stat will rise by 2. Plus, you get to pick any attribute. Fail, and you get hit with 10 points of emotional wrath. Rayon asked, you mean place first in the official student competition? Rimmer nodded, and the system replied, exactly, you'll win first place. The answer was as clear as day. Then he asked, what does any attribute mean? It means one of Imperial Essence's attributes will be granted to you, it said. Of course, the level would be adjusted down to fit a regular person like you. Rayon's curiosity wasn't satisfied yet and asked another question. What about these 10 points of emotional wrath if I fail? What does that even mean? Imperial Essence explained precisely. You'll receive the wrathful emotions that Imperial Essence carries, it explained with a grin. The feeling of wrath you get isn't all that special. But if you hang onto it too long, you'll lose control over your emotions. It warned, showing an image of Rayon losing his composure, almost becoming someone else despite his strong will. Rayon stared at the vision thoughtfully. So, that was their plan. He then lifted his coffee cup for a sip. Watching his sincere demeanor, you got the sense he wasn't bluffing. He answered honestly and calmly. Rayon mulled it over for a long moment, like savoring a forbidden flavor. Compared to the reward, the risk of messing up seemed pretty low. Maybe this was the tempting apple I had to bite. For a guy like me who's barely alive, snagging first place won't be easy. But hey, I did come back from the dead. Rayon extended his hand and said, the terms aren't too bad. All right, I'm in. Imperial Essence's eyes gleamed with delight. Great. A green flame flickered and wrapped his hand. The system announced, you have accepted the bet of wrath. He reminded himself, if I use the experience from my past life, losing won't be on the table. Outside the city, the sun was just starting to rise, spilling warm golden light everywhere. A student lay sprawled on the ground, utterly worn out, sweat dripping down his face. They all sat there, letting out tired sighs. My legs feel like they're about to give out. I can't get up anymore. I've been running all morning. Now it was time to push through. Remembering Rimmer's cheerful smile while assigning tasks to the students, he said, what you're doing now is the horse stance, even if it's just that. Don't underestimate it. The students ached all over. Meanwhile, he stood off to the side, chuckling. This is the basic stance in martial arts, he said. Everyone's got to practice it. Hold this stance until I say, stop. After that, I'm hitting the hay. Then he added, and of course, it's not mandatory. So, just to remind you, it's your break, not mine. One side grumbled loudly, this is brutal. I'm done with this. Another complained, when do we actually get to learn swordsmanship? Someone else sighed, forget it. They'd only been running and holding stances so far. Burton walked by and said, then quit whining. The basic training's over. Go practice on your own because we're just focusing on fundamentals. That swordsmanship won't sharpen itself. Imperial Essence watched them depart, a tinge of regret in his heart. Watching them leave, he asked, aren't you going to join them for sword practice? Rayon answered bluntly, why bother with these poor skills? Sword practice would just waste my time. He kept at his physical training. Even though he was exhausted, what he really needed was strength and stamina as a foundation, not sword skills, right now. He wanted to balance his ice and fire abilities since the ice curse made his physical strength much weaker than others. Building a solid foundation is always key for growth and training. Sweat kept streaming down his chin. He stayed laser-focused on training, knowing he had to put everything into toughening up his body first and foremost. Finally, he stood. Just then, someone appeared outside. It was Renan. She thought, that must be Rayon. Ziggard observed him closely, noting his impressive progress. The weights he was lifting were heavier than the day before. She recalled hearing that he had been ill. Standing there, deep in thought, she noticed the weights he could handle grew heavier. Clearly, only relentless training could explain how he was lifting more than Rayon. But at that moment, Rayon was adding weight to his lifts, and it seemed crazy to increase so much so fast. How did he add 10 kilos in just 1 week? She wondered if maybe Rayon was just different somehow. How could someone who had been sick keep this up? Finally, Renan decided to come inside, muttering to herself. His name is Rayon. Ziggard approached Rayon, sensing there was something special about him. Rayon looked up, puzzled. Renan asked, what brings you here? The two locked eyes, staring at each other for a while. Rayon thought, what's going on with this kid's development? Renan didn't say a word, just kept watching Rayon. She moved closer slowly, making him a bit wary. They sat quietly, the mood a little awkward. Before Rayon could figure out what was happening, Renan had already laid back and started lifting weights. He ignored it and stood up to leave. Who would have thought? Runan turned and followed right behind him. Whatever Rayon was practicing, Runan mirrored him closely, watching and learning as she trained herself. She couldn't help but exclaim, just like before. Ever since I caught that fresh scent from Rayon earlier, it feels like I'm lighter on my feet. Thanks to that, I'm even lifting heavier weights than last time. While she was thinking this, Rayon's call snapped her back to the moment. Do you need to say something to me? Not getting a response, Rayon didn't press further and turned back to his training routine. Still looking a bit puzzled, Runan watched him leave and thought to herself, Rayon Ziegart, I guess I'll be trailing behind you a little longer. So, she stayed close behind Rayon like a faithful shadow. She practiced everything he did, step for step. Before long, a group of students suddenly showed up. The leader of the group was Burden, who spotted Runan tagging along after Rayon. One of Burden's classmates grumbled angrily, Valken's tailing that guy again? What's the point of hanging out with someone who's already been kicked out of the main line like that? At that moment, Burden stepped forward, wielding a wooden stick, muttering, pathetic, as he repeatedly demonstrated some basic health exercises. It's all pointless. Basically, Rayon lacked strength, so he needed those simple exercises. But no matter how hard he worked, he would never stack up to us. I don't know what the test involves, but at least this is some sort of prep for that day. If it's only about improving his own martial arts, then it's fine to keep drilling swordplay. After saying this, he turned and addressed the other students before walking away. Let's roll. Don't waste your time on that flash-in-the-pan loser. The results will show on test day. Later, while Rayon kept training, a green-haired student cautiously approached and said, Sir Runan? Hey, I'm Dorian. Mind if I train with you? Dorian scratched his head shyly, introducing himself. He was eager and hoping Runan could share some pointers on proper training posture. Rayon glanced over and replied, well, I don't really focus on that stuff, but thanks, even if it's just a little. After saying this, Dorian reached into his pocket, rummaged around, and pulled out a cookie, offering it to Rayon. Try this, it's delicious. Nah, I'm good, you take it. Rayon was about to decline when he caught a glimpse of Dodd, Runan's face full of longing, silently hoping for the cookie. She really seemed to want it. Her eyes gleamed with hopeful anticipation. Rayon, a bit caught off guard, handed the cookie over to Runan. He let out a sigh, feeling a little overwhelmed. Looks like we've got another newcomer tagging along now. From then on, Dorian started training with the help of both Rayon and Runan. Time flew by as the trio Rayon, Runan, and Dorian kept up their steady, dedicated training. 6 months had passed since they began. Throughout the training, Rayon constantly pushed himself to the limit, flirting with the edge between life and death. The setbacks from his early training days were now out of sight. Drawing a deep breath through his throat, he focused solely on the people in front of him. There were only 2 people ahead, and finally, time moved forward. The morning of the big test had arrived. Outside the arena, a crowd had gathered to cheer on the candidates. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Thank you all for coming. These individuals are the guardians of the candidates participating today. Please follow the marked path and proceed in order from here." Rayon was chatting with Imperial Essence and reminded Rayon Ziegart, "Hey Ron, remember that bet we made with Imperial Essence?" Imperial Essence smiled faintly and said, "In the end, you still can't outdo those 2. So brace yourself for the fury of Imperial Essence," Rayon said, waving his hand to downplay it. "Well, every test is different, so you never know how it'll turn out." Suddenly, he turned to Dorian, looking baffled. But more importantly, Dorian, what on earth are you doing down there? Right then, Dorian was crouched on the ground, trembling with fear, muttering, No. I'm just a bit too nervous since today's test day. But as long as I keep breathing, even a weakling like me can pull it off." Runan stood beside him and called out to Ron, "Rayon, I told you, Here's a cookie. I brought it just for you. Eat up. Rayon raised his hand to stop him, saying, No, Io. He stopped mid-sentence when he looked up and saw Burden shooting him a death glare. Surrounded by people like that, Rayon felt totally helpless. Why on earth do I have to have these folks nearby right now in the stands? Sylvia beamed happily and said, Helen, look over there. Rayon standing there so confident. Helen nodded in agreement, smiling. Of course, he's been through some tough training for the past 6 months. Watching Rayon chat with 2 other trainees, Sylvia seemed relieved. Looks like Rayon's making friends now. Huh. With his personality, that's only natural. Cal Rowan never complains. He's young but smart enough to get how to make friends. I'm really proud of him. Sylvia kept smiling, but then the area suddenly went quiet as everyone's eyes locked on one spot. A man strolled in slowly and the crowd whispered in amazement. It's the clan leader coming in. The clan leader's here personally. Oh, that's Glenn Ziegart, the clan leader. Wasn't he supposed to never come to these things in person before? Rimmer was surprised too and asked, Wow, why is the clan leader actually showing up? Glenn looked puzzled by everyone's over-the-top reactions. This event decides the future of your clan. Your reaction makes it seem like I'm an unwelcome guest. Rimmer chuckled awkwardly and said, Haha, no way, sir. We're glad you're here. Then he announced, Now that the clan leader's present, we won't waste any time. Let's get started with the official trainee selection test. So, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, the criteria that all of Ziggard has been curious about is about to be revealed through my pressure. As soon as he finished, Rimmer started exerting pressure in all directions and began explaining the test for the day. Pressure is something every warrior lives with. This test measures the level of a warrior's skill. Suddenly, a voice objected. Hold on. I protest. The kids just recently learned about aura. Why are we doing a pressure test so soon? Several others quickly chimed in, agreeing. Some kids still haven't learned aura yet. A pressure test so early is just plain unfair. And some of these kids have been caught napping in class too. What's this test all about? Rimmer took a deep breath, then explained. Pressure isn't just about using mana. Nope. Real pressure is the spiritual energy a warrior builds up through their experiences and achievements. It's proof of a warrior's worth and can show their level even without aura. Still, some weren't convinced and argued back. What are you even talking about? But before he could finish, a voice cut in. That guy's not wrong. Seeing the Lord talking to him, Glenn went on, My lord, Glenn here. And I believe true pressure is understood through the life and training one endures. Hearing this, Rimmer looked pleased and smiled warmly. Then he added, Even someone without aura can carry immense pressure, depending on how tough and persistent their training has been. With a happy smile, Rimmer praised, Lord Glenn, you really get it. Then, turning to everyone else, so, that settles it. I'm sure no one here has any objections to the test, right? Let's forget about any troublemakers and start the test now. Hearing his name, Runan stepped forward. Runan, please come up. The others moved back, giving Runan space. The pressure I'm about to release will be something you can handle. If you push yourself during training, if you can withstand this pressure and touch me, you'll pass. Rimmer grinned and slowly released the pressure onto Runan. The test begins now. Immediately, a strong force hit Runan, making her cry out. Meanwhile, Rimmer kept explaining the rules. If you use aura to block this pressure, you fail right away. I want you to beat this with your willpower alone, built during your training. Gritting her teeth, Runan summoned every bit of strength and pushed forward. Then she managed to grab Rimmer's arm. He patted her head, smiling, and praised her. That was easy. I can see your efforts paying off. Keep that spirit moving forward. Next up is Dorian. Dorian, startled by his name, trembled and gasped. Wait, what? What's my rank? Rimmer responded casually, I'll rank you however I want, so get up and come here. With no choice, Dorian slowly stepped forward. You saw what Runan did, right? Use the willpower you've built to break through the pressure wall I've set. Nervously, Dorian asked, Do you really think I can do it? I'm kind of famous for having no willpower. Rimmer released his pressure and said, Well, if you don't have any, I'll just have to fail you. It's that simple. Overwhelmed quickly by the pressure, Dorian gritted his teeth, fighting not to fall over. Watching from outside, Rayon looked a bit surprised, noting that Rimmer adjusted the pressure based on each kid. He was tailoring the pressure to their skill levels and how hard they'd trained, so he's been watching each of them very closely. Just then, Dorian pushed through and touched Rimmer. Rimmer smiled, saying, See, all you had to do was come here, and you passed. But, Dorian, you still don't believe in your abilities. I suggest you hold your head up and look forward from now on. Flan looked so scared, she actually threw up. Then Rimmer called out the next person. All right, I think you've all heard enough. Next up. Time flew by and it was almost the final rounds. Next. Burden stepped up, seeing it was his turn. Burden looked ready and said, Yes. Seeing that, Rimmer said, let's get started right away. Come on. Like the others, Rimmer unleashed his pressure onto Burton, who felt it pushing him back nonstop. Burton clenched his teeth, thinking, he wants me to reach him while pushing through this. Wait, what? This feels nothing like what I saw outside. How on earth did Renan get through this? His whole body trembled under the weight, unable to move forward, unable to take one more step. At that moment, Burton collapsed. Seeing this, Rimmer spoke up. You definitely have talent that outshines the rest. Among the 160 students here, only a handful can compete with you. But just like the others, you've wasted your time. What good is sharpening your swordsmanship if you don't have a real goal? What you need isn't sword practice, but to build up your body and strengthen your willpower. You always lean on your aura when things get tough. If you try that now, you'll fail right away. Rimmer's words snapped Burton back to reality. I can't fail here. I'll never forget the time Dad wouldn't let my brother in. I can't forget that cold, piercing look in his eyes. If I don't push through, I'll be tossed aside too, he thought. With that, he steeled himself, gave it everything he had, stood up, and moved toward Rimmer. Rimmer nodded with approval. You passed. Then he kindly reminded Burton, you're still just a 12-year-old kid. I want you to quit trying to act like an adult and train at a pace that fits your age. If you keep staring only ahead, you'll miss the thorns digging into your feet. Rimmer paused and then turned to Rayon. All right, finally, Rayon. Ziggard. Rayon stepped forward smoothly, calm and composed. Yep, it's my turn. Ready? Rayon answered firmly. Of course, as always. Rimmer said, then let's get started. The moment he spoke, the pressure started to radiate. But this time, it was different. Rimmer kept pushing it, ramping up the intensity every second. Seeing Rayon withstand the crushing force, Sylvia grew worried and shouted, Rayon. Glenn was stunned by the pressure. What kind of insane level is this? Even under that extreme pressure, Rayon stayed calm, standing steady like nothing was going on. He spoke up, is this really the test? Rimmer, intrigued and excited, replied, honestly, I don't know, but your talent definitely surpasses Runan and Burton. Try holding up under this. Then Rimmer unleashed even more pressure, stronger than before. That's when Rayon began to feel how tough it really was. Spiritual level isn't just physical, it's rooted deep in the soul. And right now, I'm not only carrying around Ziggard's spiritual level, I also have the strength from my past life as an assassin, he thought. Then he stepped forward. Seeing this, Rimmer raised an eyebrow. With that, can you really handle all this pressure? Glenn's face was pure shock. He just couldn't wrap his mind around it. How is this even possible? This defies all reason. At that moment, it felt like something straight out of fantasy, beyond all limits. Before Rimmer could finish his thought, Rayon had already reached him. Everyone watched in stunned silence. Rayon then asked, is the test over? The other students were in disbelief, totally stunned by what they'd just witnessed. Did he seriously break through all that pressure? No way. Did he actually pass? That kid's a total mess, no aura at all. How on earth did he pull that off? Rimmer was just as shocked and asked, what exactly are you? Rayon answered, you've been watching closely. I trained for half a year, and I'm Rayon. You questioned. Because I ended up surpassing everything you taught me during these 6 months. You piled on pressure beyond my limits. You purposely made things tough, but didn't expect I'd break through it. Rayon then made a hand gesture, like he was explaining something. At first, Rimmer was clueless, his face full of questions. Then suddenly, it clicked for him. He chuckled. Looks like the Grandmaster was trying to throw me off. Rayon Ziegart took the final spot. The formal student selection ceremony has wrapped up. I'm about to announce the top students everyone's been waiting for. Rimmer's announcement tightened the atmosphere among everyone present. The top student at the training school is none other than Rayon Ziegart in the stands. Sylvia and Helen couldn't hold back their emotions upon hearing this. Our Ron came in first. Miss Sylvia, Rayon made it. People nearby kept chatting about the result. I still can't believe it. Rayon Ziegart is the top student. If he managed to overcome that pressure, then it must be real. But how on earth did he do it? Burton suddenly shouted loudly, protesting. I refuse to accept this. This just isn't right. Rimmer is lying. Rimmer, looking puzzled, asked, lying about what? When it comes to endurance, strength, and talent, Rayon is way behind me. I won't accept that someone like him took first place. He's definitely cheating. Flat out cheating. Burton's accusations made those around him start doubting the outcome. The crowd erupted into loud debates. Does this make any sense? How could he still top the leaderboard after being cursed? I heard he doesn't even have aura. Could he have bribed the teacher? If we consider what people say about Rimmer, it's not out of the question. Burton went on. We're all warriors from the Ziggart clan, not just passing one test. Don't you think we should settle this with a duel to see who deserves the top spot? Hearing that, Rimmer smiled and locked eyes with him. You want that top student spot that badly, Burden wriggled. Oh no, that's not it. Burden blushed, awkwardly denying. No, that's not what I meant. Rimmer glanced up and asked Glenn. Too bad the test is already done. Clan leader, what do you think we should do now? The clan leader paused, then turned to Rayon Ziegart. Some people aren't happy with the results. Would you be willing to duel Burden? Burden gave a smug glance at Rayon, but to everyone's surprise, Rayon answered plainly. No. Everyone nearby was stunned. The test is over, he said, and the results stand. Why should I waste time dueling him with no benefits? Then Rayon looked at Burden and added, You keep talking about honor, Burden, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want to lose so badly yourself. His words made Burden hit boiling point. You damn bastard. The clan leader then spoke up. All right, then let's do this. We'll duel for the top student title. If you win, I'll personally hand over a bronze card. Greer de Owen was stunned by the offer, thinking to himself, the bronze card from the Ziggard clan is given alongside gold and silver cards from the East. Each level brings different rewards. Even the bronze card, if awarded directly by the clan leader, probably comes with some serious perks. The bronze card from the Ziggard clan would be handed out, along with the gold and silver cards from the East. Each reward based on the individual's accomplishments, and each card carried a different prize. Even the bronze card, when personally given by the clan leader, usually came with something valuable. Looks like he's not exactly thrilled about me taking first place. With that in mind, Rayon replied, Got it. Let's get started. This time, we'll find out who the top student really is. One-on-one fight, just one round. No aura, no weapons, only physical skills allowed. After laying out the rules, Rayon and Burden stepped up, ready to face off. All right, let's get this going, Rimmer said, and Burden immediately launched a lightning-fast attack at Rayon, who swiftly dodged. Then Burden let loose a relentless flurry of blows. Through it all, Rayon kept dodging every hit. This is the crippled tiger fist my dad taught me himself, he thought. Martial arts are totally allowed, so this is fair game. As they watched Rayon fend off Burden's onslaught, the other students couldn't help but cheer. Young Master Burden is really something. Meanwhile, Burden was thinking, who does this weaker kid from a side branch think he is? Trying to take my spot as top student. Then suddenly, Burden's mind flashed back to an earlier moment. Forget it. The Ziggard family doesn't have room for weaklings. Don't let me down. My father is watching. Burden Ziggart. I have to prove myself. I can't lose to a nobody here. Despite throwing non-stop punches, Rayon smoothly avoided them all. I see everything clearly, the punches, the rhythm of his moves. Every attack was crystal clear in my mind right now. Burden shouted, ready to quit. Rayon Ziegart, I'm ending this with one move. Calmly, Rayon shot back. Why would I give up? Then he clenched his fist and threw a punch. Their punches clashed, but Rowan's strength clearly dominated. Burden took the hit and was sent staggering backward. Panicked, he yelled, What's going on here? Everyone around was left speechless. No way. That's the crippled tiger fist? How is he? Burden collapsed on the arena floor, shocked and gasping. When asked, Rayon casually said, You taught me. I just copied your moves from the stands. The crowd buzzed in disbelief. He really used crippled tiger fist? This is nuts. How did he learn it? Did he sneak in lessons? Otherwise, how's this even possible? Seeing Burden lose to Rayon, Rimmer was also taken aback. This kid's got serious talent. He countered the twisting move of the crippled tiger fist by creating a martial technique with the opposite spiral. Just reading the opponent's martial flow is genius level. But to flip it and make it your own, that's next level. This is the kind of talent destined to be at the top of the continent. Exactly the kind of gifted heir the Ziggard family wants. Finishing his thoughts, Rimmer announced, I think that settles it. This match is over. As everyone can see, the winner is clearly Rayon Ziegart. With that, today's test concluded. Just then, Sylvia hurried down from the stands and ran straight to Rayon, joyfully hugging him, gently patting his head. Both Sylvia and Helen were bursting with happiness over Rayon's victory, their eyes shining as they looked at him. The Emperor's spirit shines through you, she said with a smile. I'm starving. Let's head home. Over near Runan, the same thing happened again. Runan's father, overwhelmed with joy, grabbed him in a tight hug and started crying like a baby. Meanwhile, Burden was politely escorted out by the butler. Suddenly, Burden caught a glimpse of something that stirred both worry and sadness in him. Among the crowd, he noticed his father staring right at him. Then, just as quickly, his dad turned away and walked off. That left him feeling hollow inside. Later that night at the Burden estate, his father summoned him into his study for a serious talk. He turned his back coldly and said, Burden, didn't I tell you to respond quickly? Yes, son. Do you remember what I said? I told you to come back with the top rookie title and never lose to anyone. That's not too much to ask. I told you to crush the Sully wench family. And after taking down Rayon, I want you back with the class leader title. Forget about the wench family completely. Did you really lose to that no-good, cast-out trash from their clan? Are you trying to embarrass me? Burton's father kept unloading his frustration. Burton, do you want your fate to end up just like your two brothers? Panic surged through Burton as he blurted out, No, father. I've wasted my first chance. They'll decide the class leader after grading all the students on graduation day. I want you to bring that title home for me. With that, he dismissed Burton from the room. Go, he said. Burton bowed his head, heavy-hearted, replying, Yes, sir. As he left, those words from his father echoed in his mind. If you still want to live under the wing of the Raya family in Ziggard, don't blow this last shot. Burning with anger, he punched the wall hard. Damn it, it's all that damn loser's fault. I can't believe this mess is all because of that punk Rayon. Damn it. How did it come to this? I swear I'll train harder so I never lose again. Suddenly, Burton stopped in his tracks. Right in front of him was the training room. Why did I even come here? He realized he'd come on autopilot while pondering that exact question. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was empty. No one around. Maybe the tests just ended. Burton was about to start training when he noticed the locker area. His eyes landed on the locker with Rayon's name on it. Curious, he walked over and opened it. Just a quick peek won't hurt, right? Right. It's not like I'm stealing anything, just taking a look. What he saw made Burton freeze for a moment. What is all this? What's up with all these shoes? Counting them quickly, he realized there were more than 10 pairs. Rayon went through all these shoes in just 6 months. I've only switched shoes twice. Burton was shocked by just how many shoes Rayon had. Then it hit him he already had the answer. That's right. Come to think of it, Rayon's been training non-stop while I've been slacking off. Just swinging my sword around to show off to others. Or while I'm chilling in my room, he's embodying everything great about the Ziggart bloodline. I've been doing the exact opposite. A heavy wave of shame swept over Burton as he reflected on this. After a quick look around the training room, he carefully put Rayon's shoes back and quietly left. It seemed like he'd silently made up his mind. Cut to Rayon's spot. Right now, Imperial Essence was blabbering nonstop. Oh wow, I can't believe this. I, Imperial Essence, have lived for centuries and still never met anyone like you. What on earth are you? Seriously, who knows? You can think whatever you want, but first, tell me what this ability is. Rayon said as he opened his status board. Looks like you've won with sheer fury. The prize goes to the victor. All your skill points just went up by 2. As the one fueled by wrath, you've obtained a random skill. The Snowflake Intuition. 1 star has been awarded. Upon seeing this skill, Imperial Essence muttered, Snowflake Intuition. You got a skill way too powerful for someone as ordinary as you. This skill broadens your awareness range, and right now, it's only at 1 star. But it can grow by around 10 more stars. Imperial Essence added, My own awareness is now 10 times sharper than before. Hearing that, Rayon was amazed. Really? That's awesome. But then he wondered, so why call it Snowflake Intuition? That's kind of odd. He gave a skeptical look, thinking, are your naming skills really that terrible? Wait, did you just say that? The next morning, the butler suddenly appeared before Rayon. The clan leader is asking for you, young master. Sylvia panicked. Grandpa, is there training today? Did Rayon mess up somehow? The butler chuckled to ease her nerves. Don't worry, young miss. It's nothing serious. The clan leader just wants to personally hand you the bronze token. Pretty soon, Rayon stood before the clan leader. He knelt and bowed respectfully. Green, the clan leader, spoke up. Although I'm not thrilled, I'll honor my promise. Understood, clan leader. The butler delivered the bronze token to Rayon right then. As promised, here's your bronze token. When you return it someday, you'll receive an item or some favor in exchange. Rayon stared at the token thoughtfully. Suddenly, he made a request. I actually have a question now. Sylvia Ziegart. What must I do to reclaim the status my mother once held? Rayon asked. His words caught Glenn off guard. Glenn said, by your original status, you mean the position that girl in the direct bloodline had, right? Yes, exactly. Rayon nodded, wondering why Glenn's tone suddenly softened. What's going on here? The clan leader answered, achievement. If you accomplish something the whole clan acknowledges, it can happen. But it's no easy feat. Earning the clan's respect is like plucking stars from the sky. So it's nearly impossible, especially for someone your age. Rayon smiled at the challenge. But you just said it's possible, right? He then carefully put the bronze token back, surprising the butler. That's all. Thanks for your answer, clan leader. He started to walk away, but the clan leader called out, wait, you haven't asked about your reward yet. It's just a question, no need for the token. I can still answer. Rayon raised an eyebrow at this offer. The King of Destruction from the north? Huh, interesting. He clenched his fists, preparing himself. There's something I've been thinking about, something I really need. After a moment's pause, he made his request clear. I want a cultivation technique, the kind trainers teach during basic training. I need a spiritual energy cultivation method that's better than the regular basic training one, Rayon said firmly. Please grant me a technique worthy of the bronze token. My cultivation method from my previous life just wasn't enough to restore Sylvia's standing or to take down Daryus. I need something with a way stronger aura than that, Glenn asked again. So, what you want is a cultivation technique, right? Then he snapped his fingers, as if realizing something. A section near Rayon opened up and bookshelves appeared, encircling him. Seeing what lay ahead, Rayon was taken aback. This was one of the Ziggard family's secret bookshelves. If you place your hand in the center, the book you need instantly shows up. Ah, I get it now. He placed his hand right in the middle. Just something better than the spiritual energy cultivation from my past life would do. I hope something useful shows up. From the shelf, a book floated toward him. This old, worn-out book. What's this? When Green and the butler saw the book Rayon was holding, they both stared, wide-eyed. What on earth is that? How did you get your hands on that book? It's the 10,000 Flames cultivation technique. Tuluyan. Rayon was puzzled too. He opened the book. What kind of technique is this? But the moment he touched it, a strange glow radiated from the pages. Huh. The pages began fluttering and swirling around Rayon. Surprised, he absorbed everything inside the book. The scene pulled Glenn's mind back to memories. Do you think Sylvia was abandoned by her family? That's not our concern right now. The family's prosperity is what matters most. Focus on other tasks. Sylvia got cozy with another man and left home. Don't waste my time with these petty details. After days of setting aside feelings and focusing solely on the family, I've built an army strong enough to outmatch the demon wall. Our family keeps growing stronger. So, what exactly did I lose? Sir, there's news. Your son-in-law and granddaughter were attacked. The assailants seem to be twin demons from Eden, the very ones Sylvia was investigating. She appears unharmed, but the two others were killed instantly. The report, due to the surprise nature of the attack, couldn't reach the clan leader sooner. What a shame. Finally, I've regained my feelings. But things can't just rewind to how they were. So, Rayon, even if you and Sylvia despise me, this time I have to protect you. Back in the present, Rayon was still reeling, trying to process everything that had just happened. What's going on here? My body and mind feel like they're being pushed beyond limits. Suddenly, the clan leader's voice broke through his thoughts. Rayon Ziegart, what exactly did you just do? Rayon was just as confused. I'm not sure. All I remember is the cultivation book disappearing from my hand. What was the name of that book? It's the 10,000 Flames cultivation technique, Tulu. 10,000 Flames cultivation technique, Tuluyan. You must face the eternal flame. Have you memorized the entire technique? Glenn Ziegart suddenly shot up, surprised, and asked, You're telling me you remember everything from the 10,000 Flames cultivation technique? Rayon gave a confident reply. Yes, I do. Hearing this, Glenn simply nodded, saying, Got it. That's enough. His authoritative tone continued, You've earned your reward for the bronze token. Now go. Rayon was a bit puzzled, but stayed composed, replying, Understood, sir. Taking the bronze token, he exited under the watchful eyes of Glenn Ziegart and butler Lohan. The two watched Rayon until he vanished behind the door. Right after, Lohan voiced his speculation. Could it be that young Master Rayon received the legendary cultivation method? The reply came with a steady certainty from the other party. Yes, indeed. Glenn Ziegart closed his eyes, leaning back in his chair with a calm demeanor, speaking in a low, serious tone. It's the clan leader's secret technique. At first, his astonishment showed clearly. In the entire history of the Ziegart family, no one had ever managed to pull out or even decode that cultivation technique. I never expected the boy to master the 10,000 Flames cultivation method. Hearing this, the butler voiced his worry. If this leaks out, young Master Rayon and Miss Sylvia could be in serious danger. Glenn, of course, had already considered this risk. He smiled with confidence and said, Don't sweat it. Nobody else knows about the 10,000 Flames technique. Meanwhile, as Rayon was stepping out the door, a certain book suddenly vanished from inside the study. This caught Lone off guard, and he gasped. The cultivation book's gone. What do we do now? Calmly, Glenn explained. Relax. It's been passed on to the right person. Surrounded by hundreds of cultivation books, he spoke quietly. Anyway, no one else could ever learn the 10,000 Flames technique. If I hadn't handed it off to the boy, it would have simply faded into oblivion. A flicker of hope lit up his face. I feel like I'm about to witness Rand's training journey. At the same moment, Glenn's firm voice echoed softly. There's going to be a fresh breeze blowing through the future. Rayon perched on the bed, sitting cross-legged, mulling over his thoughts. This is really weird. Why would he give this to me? And that's not even counting the silver token. Not even a golden token could buy this cultivation technique. He shut his eyes and slipped back into training mode. This is no joke, it's on par with fire magic. I've got to take this seriously. Inside the spiritual realm, Rayon edged closer to the flickering flame. He reached out carefully, ready to make contact. But just as he was about to succeed, the flame suddenly vanished in a flash. Rayon's brow creased in frustration. He sighed deeply and thought, failed again. Rayon stared gloomily at his outstretched hand. Despite countless tries, building spiritual energy is tough. I never imagined I could grasp such an advanced cultivation technique in one go. Just then, Imperial Essence spoke up, dripping with sarcastic amusement. Looks like you're having a rough time, huh? He continued. Give it your best shot. But watch out if someone interrupts you during cultivation, it could spell disaster. Just touching the technique and already messed up, that'd be downright pitiful. Hearing that, Rayon couldn't help but scowl and glare at the obnoxious voice. What's his angle? Imperial Essence had a point. Rayon pictured what would happen if he was disturbed mid-training. His mind kept racing. The 10,000 Flames technique pulls energy from nature, building up spiritual energy inside the core. If I get cut off at a crucial moment, my blood vessels or energy channels could rupture, leaving me crippled. It's an even bigger risk for me since my blood vessels carry ice energy. After mulling this over, he spoke back to Imperial Essence. All right, if you already know all that, then stay out of my way. But the Essence just chuckled with mockery. I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. Rayon furrowed his brows, clearly puzzled by the cryptic tone. Suddenly, he blurted out, Wait, don't tell me. Just as Rayon suspected, Imperial Essence laughed with a sneer. His voice was thick with menace. Just once, let the Imperial Essence disrupt your cultivation a single time. Rayon was left speechless by his fearsome reputation. You're not exactly thrilled about making do with a broken body, right? But he just shrugged casually and said, It's no big deal. Then added, You're human, so you won't ever outgrow it. Still, even if you lose a limb or your energy core blows up, the Imperial Essence can fix everything. He leaned in close to Rayon's ear and whispered, When you're crippled and ready to throw in the towel, that's when I strike. Hearing that sly remark, Rayon smirked and said, Oh, I get it now. You just want a one-time shot, huh? Can't wait to see what scheme you cook up this time. Hearing the Imperial Essence's taunt, he puffed up with pride and snorted. You're all talk again. Better keep shaking in your boots, 'cause you never know when the Imperial Essence will hit. Looking at his cocky grin, Rayon quietly assessed. This guy's definitely a serious threat. He thought, he's a demon from the demon realm, always lurking, waiting for the chance to possess my body. He's pure rage personified. He sighed warily. Thought he gave up on this, but looks like I gotta stay alert once more. He said aloud, All right, I'll deal with that later. Got more pressing matters at hand. The Imperial Essence asked, Finally, are you planning to handle her? Rayon replied, Yeah, it can't be coincidence. She shows up here every night. They both moved to the window and looked down below. Rayon said coldly, I have to take care of her. He thought to himself, It's been a while since I had to get back to my old job. Outside by the river, a woman in a maid's outfit was quietly at work. The Duel building's maid was intently scribbling a secret report on paper, murmuring, Nothing noteworthy to report, except that she muttered softly, But this time, I actually have something serious to report. Remembering the events from just a few hours ago, she couldn't help but be stunned. Didn't expect he'd get his hands on such an advanced cultivation technique just because of that bronze token. Duel recalled watching him train. The flow of mana was unbelievably intense as his spiritual energy surged. It was unbelievable. Her hand kept writing. This info is critical for Central Martial Palace. When she finished, she carefully folded the paper, thinking, It's an order, so I have to do it. But he's just a kid. How much longer can I keep fooling him? Then she gently dropped the secret letter into the water and sat back, watching it float away. Once the letter drifted a fair distance, Duel exhaled softly and murmured, Time to head back. Suddenly, a knife pressed against her neck with a sharp warning. If you make a sound, I'll end you. The knife holder threatened, Move, and you die. His frosty voice ordered Duel to lower her eyes and stare at the lake below. Facing this immediate threat, she had no choice but to obey. Her mind raced. Who is this guy? Slowly, she dropped her gaze, cold sweat forming on her forehead. Who could radiate such a deadly vibe? When she saw the familiar face reflected on the water's surface, Duel's shock was evident. Rayon muttered, What? This brat was sneaky enough to follow me as if he could read her thoughts. Rayon said coolly, Ever since I came back to this annex building, I felt your sneaky eyes on me. So, what did you manage to dig up? This only made Duel even more nervous. No way he already knew everything. She thought back to those quiet days when she'd been watching her mark, careful not to get caught. Turns out, she was discovered ages ago. Duel was completely thrown off. I was sure I left no trace behind. So, he was just playing dumb. But why? Suddenly, Rayon told her to open her mouth. Shaking, Judiel had no choice but to obey. Right then, Rayon shoved something inside her mouth. Forced to swallow the strange object, she gagged and felt sick. Groaning uncontrollably, she fell to her knees, dry heaving and trying desperately to spit it out. No luck. Calm as ever, Rayon picked up the note that hadn't drifted too far away. He unfolded the secret message, only to see that the writing had completely vanished. He looked at the person who had written it and asked, "I can't read a thing on this letter. This kind of paper must need a special trick to reveal its secrets, right?" Rayon asked, his tone icy. One word at a time. Water, earth, fire, sunlight. When he said, moonlight, Judiel's face turned pale with panic. She couldn't hide it. Stuttering, she said, "Wait, how do you know that?" Rayon replied by slowly reciting the message. Heir Ziegart, Rayon Ziegart Daniel. When he got there, he concluded. So this was Rayon Ziegart's order, which only made Judiel more terrified. Seeing Rayon's blank look, she panicked, thinking, no way. My expression was perfect. I spent years training to be the best spy out there. There's no way he could have figured it all out just by watching me. Suddenly, she remembered the thing Rayon had just forced into her mouth. Wait, no. The burning pain throughout her body and how easily he seemed to read her thoughts. The more she thought about it, the more she started shaking. There's only one explanation. That thing shoved down my throat. The image of a deadly bug popped into her mind, and Judiel collapsed in terror. Could it be some crazy parasite? A memory of a conversation between Judiel and Rayon Ziegart flashed through her head. He told her to sneak into the annex and spy on Rayon and Sylvia. He'd stressed, "If you pull off this mission, I'll bring that person back to reality." Now trembling with fear, Judiel dropped to her knees and asked Rayon, "Did you feed me a crazy parasite?" Rayon looked surprised for a moment, then shot back, "You even know about the crazy parasite?" Then, with a hint of amusement in his voice, he said, "I'm impressed you're familiar with the crazy parasite." As soon as she heard that confirmation, a wave of nausea hit Judiel, and she immediately leaned back, clutching her chest in pain. She realized that once the parasite was inside someone, the poisoner could not only track their location, but also tap into their thoughts. The crazy parasite was one of the most terrifying curses out there. The poisoner could kill the victim anytime they wanted, and the pain was unbearable. Judiel's expression gave it all away. It was definitely the crazy parasite. Completely unfazed by her pain and fear, Rayon said coldly, "You sent this letter to Rayon Ziegart, which means you're the spy sent by Marshal Hart Temple, and this mission probably started 7 months ago after the judgment ceremony. So, you actually did your homework, huh?" He held up the letter with a sly grin and said, "And it wasn't just me, my mom, Helen, and all the other maids got involved, too." Judiel's face went even paler, as if all the color was draining away. She thought this mission was going to be straightforward in her mind. Karen's instructions had been clear. Just gather info on the boy Rayon and the disabled Sylvia. She believed she could finish it without a hitch. But turns out, there's a beast hiding in this annex. Intimidated by the overwhelming presence of what she now considered a monster, Judiel begged desperately, "I'll change the report. I'll send them false details instead." But Rayon cut her off coldly. "Don't bother. Even if you fudge the data, Karun will find out about me eventually." Adding insult to injury, he sneered, making her feel even more useless. "It just goes to show how incompetent you really are." Without warning, Rayon leaned close to Judiel, his red eyes glowing fiercely, radiating deadly intent, but also a mocking amusement toward her trembling state. Then he declared, "From now on, you're a double agent." He went on, "You'll report any info he's likely to uncover soon, but keep the critical stuff under wraps and don't tell anyone else. In return, you bring me valuable intel from his side." Judiel could do nothing but shiver and nod. "Fine, I'll do as you say." Hearing that, Rayon gave a satisfied nod. At last, he stood and walked away. Before he left, he even flashed a smile and said, "Until next time." His voice echoed clearly through the room, loud enough for Judiel still shaken inside to hear. "I'm counting on you to bring me some useful info." On the way back to his bedroom, Imperial Essence asked curiously, "How the heck did you manage to summon that crazy worm?" Rayon replied calmly, "I wouldn't waste time on something so gross. I slipped her a poison pill that caused intense but temporary pain." Imperial Essence's eyebrows shot up higher in surprise. "Wait, so you could actually hear her thoughts earlier?" Rayon shrugged and explained casually, "You can pick up on things about someone from other clues. Most people can't see it, but I can." Imperial Essence was taken aback by Rayon's calm answer. He muttered, "Now that's what I call a true devil." A few days later, while Rayon was deep into his training, the day to head back to the training school finally arrived. Despite pushing himself hard the whole time, Rayon still hadn't managed to produce any aura by the time of departure. At the training school, the place buzzed with chatter. The whole atmosphere was extra lively. Rayon quietly took it all in. Out of the original group, only 42 had made it through. That's about 1/4 of who started. He remembered the stern face of their teacher, Rimmer. He was seriously strict when it came to results. Suddenly, a voice called his name. Ray turned to see Ronan approaching. She came right up and stood in front of him, making him a bit puzzled and crease his brow. Ronan just kept staring like she had something to say. A faint memory sparked for her young master Rayon had helped her daughter train. That memory was from a few days ago at the Sullivan family's house. Back then, she was busy enjoying dessert when her mom asked about it. So she casually said, yeah. Her mom then asked, did you remember to greet and thank him? Ronan answered, I did when he gave me some snacks. Then her mom asked once more, what about when he helped you train? Hearing that, Ronan paused thoughtfully for a moment and replied with innocent honesty, no. This sparked a bit of curiosity from her mom. Why not? Ronan answered obediently. Dad told me not to start conversations with boys. Her mother's face instantly turned serious. Ah, I get it. Then she gave her daughter a firm but gentle lesson. Ronan, when you're thanking someone, it doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl, she went on. If someone lends you a hand, you should always show respect and thank them. It's just plain good manners. Hearing this, Ronan's cheeks flushed a bright pink. Her mom reminded her again, keep this in mind, even back in the present. Gathering her courage, Ronan turned to Rayon and said, thank you. That caught him off guard and made him strangely flustered. Imperial Essence looked puzzled too and asked, why did she just thank you out of nowhere? But even Rand was clueless and awkwardly said, I have no idea. How would I know? After nailing the thank you, Ronan proudly gave herself a mental thumbs up. Just then, a lively voice called out. Young Master Rayon, Dorian came running up, out of breath but still chatting. Young Master, how have you been? As for me, I honestly thought I was a goner. Even as a temporary trainee, I felt like I was on death's doorstep. No sooner had he started than he launched into a long whine. Now that I'm officially a full trainee, I can't even imagine how much tougher it's going to get. I keep having nightmares. Last night I tossed and turned, couldn't catch a wink. Just scared I won't make it. By the way, to be honest, Imperial Essence put on a judging face and said, you really do talk way too much. But Dorian just kept babbling nonstop. Nonetheless, I'm thrilled that young Master Rayon turned out to be the top student. If young Master Burton had been the top student, then before he could finish, Burton suddenly appeared right behind Dorian, his face looking like he'd just been slapped with a bucket of ice-cold water, causing Dorian to scream in shock. He was so startled he dropped to the floor, bracing himself for the storm Burton might bring. But Burton didn't pay him any mind and instead slowly walked up to stand in front of Rayon, his expression as icy as ever. The two stood facing each other in silence for a good long minute, without either of them saying a word. Then, Burton bent forward into a perfectly formal bow and said, I apologize. I admit I've been beaten. Last week, I showed everyone a very shameful side of myself. He went on, but I won't give up. His eyes burned with fierce determination. No matter what it takes, I will stand before you with my head held high. Then he turned and walked away. My promise hasn't changed. I will neither back down nor surrender. Imperial Essence and Rayon watched Burton retreat, their expressions mixed. Rayon murmured, didn't expect a 13-year-old to admit his faults like that. Must be the influence of a prestigious family. But Imperial Essence still hadn't moved on from what came before. He looked really annoyed. He already got slapped down once and still hasn't learned his lesson. Let's go gouge his eyes out. Rayon sighed at that and tried to calm him. That's good enough already. Just chill out. The demon didn't seem satisfied and shouted, who cares about that? Right then, Rimmer's voice piped up. Sorry I'm late. He chuckled awkwardly and said, I overslept because I accidentally drank a little wine yesterday. So, have you all been resting well? Once all 42 students were lined up neatly, Rimmer switched back to his strict teacher mode and spoke up. First off, congratulations on officially becoming trainees. Starting today, your official training kicks off. Rayon listened carefully. Overall, it's pretty much like last time, but from here on out, there are some new training programs added. Rimmer then launched into the lesson. For our very first class, we're going to focus on the technique of cultivating spiritual energy. Suddenly, a loud noise broke through, grabbing everyone's attention toward where it came from. A girl with long black hair stood there, hands on hips, giving the group a frosty glare. After struggling to pull the door open, she muttered a curse of frustration. Darn it, this stupid door just wouldn't budge. I almost got into trouble. Dorian, spotting the angry girl, nervously stammered, that must be her. Then Rimmer spoke calmly. Finally, you made it. Everyone, pay attention. I'm not her assigned instructor, but she's a trainee who didn't pass last time. Since you'll be training together now, let's introduce ourselves. The girl stepped forward confidently, speaking first. I'm Martha Ziggard, direct descendant of the Martha Ziggard bloodline. Martha let out a heavy sigh, clearly not thrilled about it. Still smiling, Rimmer added, despite how she comes off, she's actually a very kind girl. But his comment was cut off by Martha herself. She stepped forward right into the center of the trainees and asked, "So, who's the top student around here?" Rayon stayed quiet, just listening as Martha went on. "I can't stand the idea of someone less impressive than me being ranked above. I need to find out exactly who's holding that spot." Her expression turned fierce. "Come out and face me, let's duel." Martha moved through the group, taunting them. "Why don't we just settle this right now?" Rayon looked annoyed and whispered to Imperial Essence, "Is the energy in this place cursed or something? Why do I keep running into people like her?" Finally, he calmly stepped forward and declared firmly, "I'm Rayon Ziegart. I'm the top student." Martha responded with a mocking smirk, looking him up and down with clear disdain. "Rayon, you honestly don't look like a top student at all. All right then." She cracked her knuckles, challenging him. "No need to talk it out, one fight will settle this." Suddenly, Burton interrupted with a sharp reprimand. "Martha Ziggart, why are you being so rude?" His words made her freeze for a moment. An angry fire sparked in her eyes, and Martha switched into aggressive mode. "Who does this brat think she is? Talking disrespectfully to a senior." "Huh." She stepped closer, shooting Burton a glare like she was one punch away. But Burton didn't flinch. Instead, he met her glare with a furrowed brow. Martha threatened, "If you keep spewing nonsense like that, you'll regret it real quick. Watch your words next time." Young Master Burton snapped back sharply. Rayon Ziegart was recognized as the top student by the Lord and instructors. "Are you really questioning their judgment?" That made her smirk mockingly. "I figured that was exactly why you're making such a big deal about this." "Huh. That's why I'm here to fix it." But Burton stood his ground, unshaken. "I don't want to relive my shameful past again." This back and forth left Rayon pretty surprised. Burton had really changed, didn't you? She pressed on. "That's exactly why I'm doing this." But Burton stayed composed and replied sincerely, "I don't want to face that embarrassing version of myself ever again." This caught Rayon off guard. Burton had truly changed. Out of nowhere, Runan stepped right in front of Ron, shielding him, which caught both Ron and Imperial Essence off guard. Runan spread his arms wide, protective and firm, saying, "Back off." Seeing Rayon being guarded by the two of them, Martha sneered and taunted, "Oh, how heartwarming. Such a pretty little friendship. Is this what they call raggedy friends?" Just wrapping up even more torn edges. Then she spun around, ready to leave. "If I keep this up, guess I'll be the bad guy. Huh? Fine, then I'll own the villain role." Suddenly, a sly grin stretched across Martha's face. "But here's the thing. I really hate cowards who hide behind others." Without hesitation, she lunged at Rayon, growling as she attacked. They're way more pitiful than the cocky ones. This sudden move totally caught Runan and Burton off guard. Martha threw a punch charged with magical energy at Rayon. "Take this." But luck was on Rayon's side. That surprise punch, Rayon dodged it without breaking a sweat. Not only that, he blocked and dispelled it with ease. Martha never imagined Rayon could coolly deflect her attack. Before she could even blink, Rayon countered with his own punch. Martha dodged it head-on, but the punch's force pushed them both back, creating space. Watching all this, Burton gasped in surprise. Meanwhile, Teacher Rimmer watched with an amused smile. It was clear the punch had shaken Martha. She sighed, looking like her confidence was draining fast. Her anger and pride were starting to cloud her common sense. Martha let out a shaky laugh, thinking, how absurd. Then she went berserk. Each step she took left a deep groove in the ground. With a menacing growl, she said, "Hey." Raising one arm, she readied another punch and taunted, "Don't think you can just walk away from this." From behind, Rimmer grabbed Martha's arm calmly. "That's enough." Martha spun to look at the teacher, surprised. When did he even get here? From above, Rimmer looked down at the stubborn student, slipping into the teacher mode. "Martha, seems like you've been underestimating me. Just because you think I'm chill doesn't mean I'm invisible." Though Martha fought to break free, Rimmer stayed cool. "Burton and Runan might have learned spiritual energy, but Rayon hasn't yet. You don't think winning because of that edge makes you proud, do you?" He released her and smiled. "I'll let you go at Rayon all you want once he learns spiritual energy." Martha, clearly annoyed, shrugged off Rimmer's hand and muttered, "I was gonna stop anyhow." Rimmer, totally used to her attitude, chuckled and pointed in a direction. "Back to your spot, Rayon." Rayon nodded, "Yes, sir." Right then, Imperial Essence snarled, "What's going on? How could you let that bratty girl attack me like that? You should have ripped her apart limb by limb and trapped her in ice for 1,000 years." Rayon answered calmly, "I already fought back, but that only made her angrier. If it were up to me, I'd have cut her head clean off." "Yet," he said firmly, "not the right time yet." Imperial Essence stared at Rayon's calculating face in frustration. "It'd be smarter to fight when you need something from her." Use that top student title to lure her in. Rayon followed Rimmer inside, whispering to the one clinging close. Just wait and see. Next time, I'll really put on a show for you. Inside the building, all 42 trainees were pushing themselves hard. After a bit, Rimmer finally spoke up, satisfied. All right, everyone, let's take a 10-minute break. Burden quickly rehydrated with plenty of water to refresh his energy, thinking to himself quietly. Just like I figured. This is far from easy, even though I already mastered the high-class Supreme Fist at 2-star level. It's not too challenging for me, but hitting that 3-star mark is a whole other story since it demands blending together various advanced moves. Then Burton glanced over at Rayon. Meanwhile, Rayon stayed focused, training with steady determination. Burton silently evaluated. It's only been a month. He kept mulling it over. Even I needed a full month just to pick up the 7-form fist. He was learning swordsmanship alongside me, and it was just me. Watching Rayon's precise moves, Burton couldn't help but be impressed. Seems like I'm not the only one feeling the heat from his fast progress. His eyes shifted to the person training vigorously next to him, and he asked, You're feeling the pressure too, huh? Martha Ziegart took that right to the heart. She panted, stopped, and started cursing under her breath. Dang it. She stood there, breathing heavily, looking frustrated and unwilling, thinking, Rayon Ziegart, this is his very first time diving into martial arts, so how on earth is he improving this fast? Martha compared silently. He doesn't seem to have the kind of training Burden or Runin had. Plus, his body's far from ordinary. There's still ice lingering inside him. How can he train all day with a body like that? The more she mulled it over, the more jealous she felt, grinding her teeth. I can't let myself fall behind like this. She recalled the compliments she'd gotten and started giving herself props. My talent's incredible, that's what everyone says. She thought back to the past. Since being adopted into House Ziegart, I've always been a hunter. She continued her inner monologue. I outpaced every direct and collateral descendant, even those so-called geniuses who just love to brag. Martha smirked, imagining their despair. She kept telling herself, I'm the real genius. I'm the best. That's who I used to be. But right now, Martha's situation had flipped completely, and she knew it all too well. She clenched her jaw and thought, but now, I'm really scared I'm losing grip. Late at night, Martha's butler had been waiting for a while. He bowed low and greeted her respectfully. You did very well today, Lady Martha. But Martha just let out a gloomy grunt, her face clouded with gloom. The butler started brainstorming ways to lift her spirits. Finally, he spoke. You don't need to worry, my lady. Martha frowned sharply and shot back. What did you just say? The butler replied calmly. Exactly what I said, because he has his strengths. Yes, but people forget young Master Rayon doesn't stand a chance against you, my lady. Hearing that, Martha frowned even harder and snapped. He'll never beat me. Her voice was soaked in doubt. Why do you say that? The butler smiled mysteriously. Because young Master Rayon has a fatal flaw, one he'll never overcome. Rayon kept training hard. His hands gripped the sword tightly and moved with precision. Sweat soaked his hair, but even exhausted, his sword skills kept getting sharper. One trainee approached another and said, Hey, can I ask you something? But the other trainee quickly jumped in. Just watch and learn from Rayon. Check out that stance. Still, the trainee seemed shy and backed off right away. Nope, I can't ask him. Hearing that, the other trainee responded with surprise. But his sword skills are incredible. A round of applause followed. A sharp clap echoed from Martha, who wore a quirky smile and praised, Excellent. In an overly fake tone, Martha added, I didn't expect Rayon to train at my level so fast. You're even better than some geniuses. You're picking this up way too quickly. Suddenly, that fake smile faded back into her usual expression. But honestly, what came next were just snarky remarks aimed at provoking Rayana. With your weak mana sensing, no matter how much you practice, it's all for nothing. What a shame. Martha spoke loud enough that everyone in the training room could hear. Maybe you could at least be a swordsmanship instructor. Everyone fell silent during this exchange. Even Rimmer, noticing the awkward vibe, thought to herself arrogantly, Not a peep, just as I expected. She continued to mock and belittle Rana. Nobody realized that this poor guy still hadn't mastered aura after a full 4 months, and it all started from a chat between Martha and her butler. The butler told her that young Master Rayon had 0 talent for aura. Martha was stunned, her mouth practically dropped open. The butler quickly explained, You probably don't know this, but this was after you were adopted. During Rayon's mana sensitivity test, his rating was the lowest of all. He even mentioned that the only person who hasn't learned aura in the 5th training hall is young Master Rayon. The bronze medal might only help him gain a mid-level training method, or maybe something slightly better than the usual basic Linden training everyone else gets, the butler said. But he still hasn't mastered any particular method, so the test results are likely accurate. He could be the best swordsman and fighter around, but without aura, He'll never become a true martial artist. When Martha heard this, her stunned look switched to excitement. Then she burst out laughing, reminiscing about the past. She proudly ran her hand through her hair, still bitter about losing to that guy. She sneered. But honestly, that guy wasn't worth her attention. Her thoughts were cut short when Runan shot her a deadly glare. Seeing Runan glaring like she had something to say, Martha snapped, "Got something to tell me?" Runan casually replied, "Just go do your work." Martha showed some interest, smirking. "Huh, that's it?" Runan frowned and repeated, "Go." Now with a cheeky grin, Martha hummed, "All right, I'm going." Right before leaving, she proudly bragged, "I still have that direct line class to attend." Runan watched her walk off with a cold glare. That evening, in the training room, Rayon sat resting on a chair, 2 empty water bottles at his feet. He let out a tired sigh and wiped sweat with a towel. "That's enough for today." Then a satisfied smile spread across his face. "This is actually kind of fun." A flash of a past life memory flickered. On the battlefield, he hadn't learned martial arts, but survival and killing skills. Only his assassination talents had improved. He hadn't picked up anything else. He found himself surprisingly impressed. Who would have thought that training in martial arts to boost my skills could be this much fun? Out of nowhere, Imperial Essence snapped sharply. "Have you come to your senses yet?" Rayon asked, confused. "I can't believe you just stood there after being humiliated like that." Imperial Essence glared, taken aback, and snarled. "That little black-haired girl keeps bad-mouthing you," he said. Rayon shot back coldly. "Oh, really? Didn't catch that." The smoke-nosed beast yelled, "You should pay better attention. If she talked like that about me, I'd freeze her solid right away." Imperial Essence barked. Rayon, cool as ever, replied, "I've already said, fighting her right now won't do me any good." He stood, opened the door, and muttered, "Even without the 10,000 flames cultivation technique, I could take her down easily." Before finishing, he noticed Runan waiting quietly behind the door. Quickly, he called out, "Runan, why are you just standing there?" Runan didn't answer but opened the box she held and pulled out a round, brown cake. Handing it over, she said, "Eat this." Rayon took it, feeling its cold surface. "What is this thing?" Seeing his hesitation, Runan urged, "Just eat it." Rayon nodded, still puzzled. "All right." As he raised the cake to his mouth, he thought briefly, "I'm an assassin. Shouldn't be eating stuff handed to me by others." But the cake slid in anyway. Surely, she wouldn't poison me. The flavor spread on his tongue. Rayon looked pleasantly surprised by how good it tasted. Meanwhile, Imperial Essence was grinning ear to ear, excitedly saying, "What's this in the demon realm? I've never had anything this sweet and it's cold too. What is this?" Runan asked, "How is it?" Rayon nodded enthusiastically. "Delicious. Absolutely fantastic." Imperial Essence buzzed around, clearly loving the treat. "Give me more. I want another one." Runan smiled and said, "It's called an ice cream ball." Then she turned and left. Rayon called out loudly, "Hey, wait up." Imperial Essence was even more urgent. "Give me just one more. Then you can go." Watching Runan walk away, he muttered, feeling a bit down. "She's definitely a little peculiar. Why didn't she dish out another one for me?" Meanwhile, Rayon had another thought. Is she actually worried about me? He remembered how Runan loved sweets like a kid, and that there were only 4 of those cakes in total. Maybe she saved one just for me. She must have had a tough time deciding that. Thinking about it, Rayon smiled inside. But hey, what's wrong with that? As he prepared to leave, he said, "Guess it's on me to return the favor." Imperial Essence, still savoring the sweet taste, said happily, "Then just ask her for another one." At the annex, Rayon announced, "I'm back." Immediately, a group of servants rushed to greet him warmly. "Rayon, it's been ages. You're finally back." Rayon smiled softly. "It's only been a week." A servant asked, "Are you hungry? Want me to whip something up for you?" Rayon politely declined. "No, I'm good." But before he could finish, the servant quickly ordered the others, "Hurry up with things." Soon after, Duel nervously handed Rayon a report and said, "This is what I'll be sending to the Intermediate Martial Arts Hall." Rayon asked, "What's the feedback?" Duel stammered, "Not much. Really," she went on. "They told me to dig a little deeper since your swordsmanship and fighting skills are leveling up way too fast. But it looks like they lost interest once they found out you can't use aura." Then she asked another question. "What about my mom?" Duel dared not meet his gaze. Rayon answered, "I think they're also starting to back off when it comes to Madame Sylvia." She guessed aloud, "At this pace, they'll probably pull me back soon." Hearing that, Rayon frowned. "That's not good. I still need her around." Duel hesitated for a moment before speaking up. "Young master." Rayon gave her a brief look, signaling her to continue. Duel then asked, "Are you purposely avoiding learning aura?" Rayon suddenly grinned mischievously. "Who knows?" he replied softly. "What do you think?" The sharp edge in Rayon's tone scared her, and she shivered. It's nothing. Sorry for bringing up such a weird question. Rayon smiled and said, all right then, you can leave now. Duel quietly replied, yes, sir. Imperial Essence frowned and said, they think you're deliberately avoiding learning it. Rayon replied with cool indifference. He's clever, taking advantage of the situation and surroundings for his own gain, Imperial Essence said, sounding puzzled. Why is learning aura giving you so much trouble? I've never had an issue with it. Rayon laughed and said, I don't know. Just keep practicing. Get to it. He was shocked and muttered to himself again. He kept telling himself, this guy just needs to sleep. Rayon didn't seem to mind and answered, we've got to train too. The sight he saw after opening the door caught Rayon off guard a little. It turned out Reimer had been waiting for him the whole time just outside. Rayon softly called out, Coach Reimer. Hearing this, Reimer happily turned towards him. Oh, couldn't sleep? Rayon asked casually. What brings you here? Reimer stepped forward with a nod. I came to teach you. Then he placed a hand on Rayon's shoulder and said, I'll show you your attribute. Rayon was curious. We're going to the forest? I thought you were going to teach me about attributes or something. Why are we just wandering around? Reimer smiled and shook his head. Don't complain. Just wait. I might be a bit lazy, but I'm still a great teacher. Rayon glanced around, intrigued. How exactly are you going to teach me about mana attributes out here? Reimer just smiled and looked back at him. He recalled his first impression of Rayon. I still can't get your training style out of my head. Reimer described it like a flame as hot as molten lava. He said it was totally different from any regular techniques. Reimer thought, instead of trying to get rid of the cold in your body, you use the flame to balance it out. Imagining how powerful Rayon could become if he truly mastered this skill got him excited. After a moment of reflection, Reimer sighed quietly and added, this should do for now. Rayon stopped and looked around, puzzled. Why here, in the forest? Reimer suddenly waved his hand, and a strong gust of wind blew straight at Rayon. Reimer explained, I want to create a wind blade to protect my master. What you're seeing right now. Then he started stirring up a stronger gust, with hints of elemental colors swirling in the wind. He continued, that earlier wind was just the teacher's choice. Rayon's eyes opened wide as he felt that strange energy in his hands. Reimer whispered, Teacher actually dialed it down so I could get used to it, but it doesn't look like I'm scared at all. Teacher, you really did weaken it so I could get used to it. But honestly, I don't feel scared at all. I'm no kid, he said, shivering slightly as he added, I've felt this wind ever since I was born. The teacher senses it because he's an elf, but I'm just human. Also, my mana channel is packed with cold air, so this will be tougher for me, Reimer went on. There are all kinds of winds, warm, cold, or even sharp ones. Then he raised his hand skyward and said, the teacher wants a wind blade that can slice through anything. He ended with a proud grin. And guess what? I've got it. Then he turned to Ron and said, but you have to find your own path. Think about the fire, the kind you want to master. Suddenly, Ryan chimed in, this is the north. Unless you set this whole forest ablaze, you won't find a proper flame here. Reimer smiled and teased him after hearing this. Well, if that were the case, we'd probably lose our heads real quick. He glanced at Rayon with a playful look, then added, but hey, there's a spot that's perfect for you. A little while later, the two arrived at a forge. Reimer called out as they approached, hey, old man, I'm here. The old man responded with a deep voice. I didn't even know why the flame was acting so wild. So it's you. Reimer crossed his arms and smiled sheepishly. Rayon looked on with curiosity, asking, where are we exactly? Reimer explained gently, this place has the hottest, brightest flames in the whole north. He added, it's a charcoal forge. The old man inside asked, Reimer, what did you bring with you this time? Reimer shook his head and said, hey, this is the grandson of the house head. But the old man didn't seem to care. He replied, I'm just an old-timer who's retired. Well, unless the head of the house shows up in person. Suddenly, Rayon was taken aback. Wait, what? He stared at the roaring flames before him. Is this really fire? He thought back to his past life and all the countless flames, bonfires, and high-level fire magic crafted by wizards he'd seen. Looking at these flames now, Rayon sensed something different. He focused on the image of the flame he wanted to create, just as his hand reached out. But the flame vanished. Rayon quietly felt a touch of disappointment. Ah, he shrunk the flame again, he thought. Then a deep voice called out, name's Valkon. The old man, Valken, said firmly. If you're looking for courtesy, you might want to try somewhere else. Rayon was shocked upon hearing the name Valken. He looked at the old man, suddenly recalling a legendary craftsman known worldwide for his skill. Could this really be Valkon? Rayon thought to himself, he forged the true sword of Glenn Ziegart but disappeared 3 decades ago. I never expected to find him here. Immediately, Rayon bowed slightly and said politely, it's an honor to meet you. I'm Rayon Ziegart. Valkon asked gently, have you heard of me? Rimmer quickly shook his head. Not a clue, he said. Then Rimmer turned to Rayon to explain, that old man's the craftsman behind Ziggart's sword. He's retired now. Yeah, he's retired, Rimmer continued, but he's been tending this fire for 10 years straight. He keeps watch over the flame all year long, so no kid can find the right kind of fire anywhere else. Then Rimmer asked, could you help me out with something? Valkon paused, considering, before replying, why not ask those blacksmiths over there? Rimmer answered, too many eyes there. I don't want anyone to see this technique until Rhea masters it. Valkon looked curious and asked, what do you mean by that? Rimmer replied, because Rayon is Sylvia's son. This time, Valkon shifted his gaze to Ron. Rayon saw his chance and earnestly said, I won't get in your way. Please, let me feel this flame. Valkon studied him for a moment and replied, I'm making charcoal. Ran, puzzled, stayed quiet. Valkon went on, golden charcoal burns much hotter than white or black charcoal. I've been at this for 10 years. Then he said, if you're not bothering me, you're free to do whatever you want. Valkon declared aloud. Rayon lit up with happiness and said, thank you, sir. Then Rimmer and Valkon headed outside the forge, leaving Rayon alone inside. Rimmer stood beside Valkon and complimented him. You're really kind. I didn't expect you to give in so quickly. Then Rimmer gently laid a hand on the old man's shoulder and said, if you treat him well, I'll bring you some fine wine. But Valkon's reply caught Rimmer completely off guard. Not because of you, Valkon explained calmly. The furnace flared up the moment the kid stepped in, strong enough to shatter the charcoal below. I figured the kid can actually control fire. Then he murmured, if it's him, Valkon smiled. Then I believe he can make my dream come true. Rayon had been coming to the forge for 7 months, visualizing the kind of fire he wanted to master. He sat quietly, repeating softly, fire. Now I get it. An image of a blazing fireball flickered in his mind. He moved forward deliberately, reaching out, thoughts racing. People say fire is the most terrifying and powerful element, but if you learn to control it, everything changes. A well-controlled flame is stronger than any other element, and the perfect cultivation method awakens. Suddenly, he recalled Rimmer's advice. Imagine the fire you want to hold. So Rayon whispered again, the image, the perfect fire I need. He thought about the enemy whose throat he wanted to slit. Russell helped Sylvia claim the main bloodline title. The path ahead was cloaked in darkness, nothing clear. The torch lit the way. Fire defeated the monsters. A persistent flame glowed, shining beautifully ahead. Rayon slowly lost himself in that vision. That's the flame I aim to grasp. Patiently, he trained on. He felt fire energy more intense than before flowing through him. The heat of the furnace seeped into his skin. It forced his focus to sharpen and absorb it. He needed to feel it more deeply, down in his subconscious. Rayon's whole body seemed wrapped by flames. That startled him. This was a totally undefined state. How could I actually see my own subconscious right in front of me? He pressed his lips together and thought, if I focus a little harder. Suddenly, a surge of elemental magic appeared in his left hand. Rayon grinned slyly. Now it's my turn. Didn't I warn you? I'll make my move when you're at your weakest. Freeze. As the evil spirit finished speaking, a fierce wave of magic engulfed Rayon, quickly freezing his left hand. Panic hit him hard. I was too careless. Why now, of all times? He remembered that over the past 7 months, he'd forgotten the enemy had been alarmingly quiet lately. But that wasn't my friend. His smiling face made me forget he was a demon trying to end me. That demon king was wrapped in the overwhelming magic of the demon king. Rayon struggled and squirmed. Ugh, it feels like my body is shattering into pieces. Breathing's a struggle, and if I move now, I'm done for. But if I unleash the 10,000 flames cultivation technique, that's a death sentence too. I've got to think fast, focus this aura. Rayon gasped deeply. To survive, I've got to use my head. Think, think, think. The ice was already creeping up his legs, freezing him solid. Rayon shook his head in agony, but my mind feels like it's wrapped in fog. The wicked demon, savoring his pain, watched on. With a sly grin and a chuckle, the demon teased. Your struggle's almost beautiful. Did you really think you could stand against my power like before? Then with a final sneer, he declared, it's hopeless. Rayon's eyes slowly started to glaze over. The demon's cunning voice echoed darkly through the space. Your body and soul, they're mine now, he boomed. All your fight to survive is pointless. You're no better than the poor soul stoking the furnace. But hey, don't sweat it. I'll make sure to get my revenge for you soon enough. Just as Rayon felt his mind slipping away, the demon threw out a suggestion to strike back. The furnace. Use the furnace. Huh, thanks for the tip. Finally, pushing his last reserves of strength, Rayon started pulling his power together. Teeth clenched, focused. It's now or never. If I don't, I'm dead. The furnace flames suddenly roared up fiercely. Instead of soaking up the natural mana, the furnace itself heated up, and I'll be drawing mana directly from it. This flame's hotter and more intense, powerful enough to consume everything, Rayon shouted. Absorb it. His body began to drain mana from the furnace, mumbling, I'll give it a shot. The Demon King gasped loudly, yelling, What? What are you up to? The charcoal inside the furnace started glowing brighter. Valkon watched the furnace closely, startled by the spirit's presence and the flames erupting, jerking upright. His panic hadn't faded yet. What's going on? Why is this flame suddenly shooting up like this? I've never seen fire this strong before. Scanning around, he spotted something odd. What's wrong with this furnace? Valkon glanced over at the young man still meditating across the room. Puzzled, he noticed Rayon trembling violently despite sitting close to the furnace, which felt strangely cold. How can the furnace blaze like that and still be freezing? He sat up and moved toward Rayon, concern in his voice. Hey, are you all right? Valkon pointed at Rayon, confusion written all over his face. Why are you shaking like a leaf? Say something. Just as Valkon reached out, Rimmer appeared suddenly, stern and stopping him cold. Rimmer? Valkon asked, surprised. Rimmer's warning was sharp. Don't touch him. Hands off. Wrinkles deepened on Valkon's forehead. What do you mean? He could die. Rimmer calmly explained, right now, he's in a dangerously unstable state. If we disturb him, he'll vomit blood and pass out. Hearing this, Valkon reluctantly stepped back. Quietly, he asked, Is this the cold you mentioned? There's nothing we can do? Rimmer nodded grimly. It's serious but not hopeless. He glanced at Rayon and silently prayed, Rayon, stay with us. Inside his mind, a fierce battle raged on. Flames burst through the icy barrier, slowly swallowing the entire space in their blaze. The Demon King roared in fury, Stop, you can't do this. But of course, someone as determined and driven as Rayon wasn't about to take orders from the demon who had always lurked, waiting for a chance to end his life. Gritting his teeth, Rayon declared, Determined? Ridiculous. I've already died a miserable death once. His eyes sharpened more than ever. My previous life was pointless. Ultimately, I died without even closing my eyes. I refused to go through that again. Step by step, Rayon edged closer to the flickering flame. With every ounce of strength, he stretched out his hand, trying to touch it. Outside, the furnace's heat was climbing fast. Valkon called out nervously, The temperature's way too high. At this pace, the furnace might not hold up against this sudden heat spike. Rimmer concentrated, sensing mana coalescing in one spot inside the furnace. Rayon, he was startled by a sudden realization. Are you absorbing the mana? Rayon's subconscious let out a fierce scream. The fiery power inside him exploded forth. No matter how hard the Demon King fought back, he just couldn't keep it at bay anymore. Rayon had successfully seized control of the flame. The Demon King was finally defeated. Right then, a colossal explosion shook the world around them. The fireball detonated, ripping through the space, forming a giant mushroom-shaped blast inside the furnace, towering like a castle. Rimmer gasped and anxiously shouted, Rayon, are you all right? Valkon called out worriedly, Rayon. As the smoke and flames dissipated, everyone caught sight of a figure rising from the blast. It was Rayon, slowly standing up. Bright elemental particles twirled around him. Even more astonishing, Rimmer noticed Rayon's body now shimmering with fire metal. Right beside Rayon, a system notification popped up. You have mastered the 10,000 fire cultivation technique. Rayon looked down at the snowflake in his hand. The system notification echoed on. The 10,000 fire cultivation technique has advanced to level 2 stars. Thanks to the intense heat, fire resistance has kicked in. After leveling up, the ice element melted away, and the fragile durability attribute vanished. The cold aura has condensed into a frozen aura. Finally, the system concluded, frozen aura has reached 2 stars due to the surge of freezing power. Hearing this, Rayon gave a disappointed pat to his chest. Things are moving faster than I expected. I can advance right away. While silently amazed, not expecting such swift progress, another notification popped up. Rayon carefully read the details. After reading, he was downright stunned. Is this for real? It's telling me everything. Just moments in, and I've achieved what normally takes years. The evil demon still couldn't believe he lost the recent fight. Gritting his teeth, he cursed under his breath and flew around furiously, venting his frustration. Who are you? Your spirit's so weak. How could you possibly endure this? Rayon shot back, pouring more fuel on the fire. I never said you couldn't. Don't get the wrong idea. Then, with a heavy sigh, he thought to himself that despite his words, he really had come close to death this time. I need to be way more careful. After dealing with this, it was clear. Seeing the Demon King's stubborn glare made Rayon even more certain that, even though they were closer now, he was still an opponent, I can't let him catch a glimpse of my weaknesses or secrets. Suddenly, Valkon's horsey voice cut through his thoughts. You holding up okay? Rayon replied smoothly. Valkon asked, Oh, I'm good. Have you managed to get your aura yet? With a smile, Rayon answered, Yeah, thanks to you. Then, he added apologetically, Sorry about the furnace breaking down because of me. Valkon just sighed and said, No worries as long as you're all right. He continued, I'll just build a new furnace. Right then, an odd glow began shining from the remaining furnace, catching Rayon's curiosity. He asked, What's that shining? Valkon rushed to the spot, mumbling to himself, Hold on, I hope this isn't what I think it is. Grabbing a shovel, he started pulling something out. On it were 3 lumps of yellow charcoal, softly glowing. Valkon couldn't believe what he saw and stuttered. Golden charcoal. Memories flooded back along with rumors he'd heard before. He must have gotten back to the furnace, he thought. Wait, didn't he want to make golden charcoal? That stuff's been nothing but a legend for years. I figured he called it quits. Guess he's just bored. Valkon stared at the glowing charcoal, muttering, Looks like luck's not just on your side. He handed the lumps to Rayon, explaining, This is golden charcoal. It burns hotter than white charcoal and lasts longer than black charcoal. Thanks to you, Valkon declared, I finally managed to create something I've chased for decades. Thank you. Rayon quickly waved off the gratitude. I didn't really do much. Hearing this, Valkon paused before continuing. Every time you train here, the flames burn hotter, and your breathing fans the fire, spreading the heat all around. Then Valkon smiled warmly and said, I'm just a simple blacksmith, good with a hammer. But I see what you've done. It's all thanks to you. Finally, he asked, So Rayon, I gotta ask what's your real goal? Rayon muttered quietly. My goal. Valkon nodded. Yeah, what kind of swordsman do you want to be? Rayon thought a moment, then placed a hand firmly on his chest and spoke with conviction. I want to be a warrior who never gives up, no matter who's in front of me. Valkon nodded, impressed. I never expected a kid to say something like that, a swordsman who doesn't quit. In 3 to 5 years, you'll have your sword. And when you're ready, when you're steady enough, come find me. I'll be holding onto it for you until then. Valkon pointed at the bright yellow lumps and joked, So. Rayon blinked in surprise. You mean you'll teach me to sword fight? I heard you retired. Valkon replied softly. People often come back after retirement. Before Rayon left, Valkon reminded him, Just make sure you stick around until then. Rayon Rimmer watched the farewell from above. He smiled and said, Still wondering if something's gonna happen. That boy's got aura now. That's a relief. Folks were really sweating it. Suddenly, Rimmer turned to the person beside him and asked, Did I get that right? The person watching with Rimmer was the head of the family, Glenn Ziegart. Rimmer grinned. You've been coming here every day, worried about him. I bet you're kinda relieved now. Glenn shook his head. I'm not here because I'm worried. Rimmer chuckled and praised Rayon. It's probably all thanks to the furnace's heat. This boosted both the amount and purity of his aura to an impressive level. The boy's aura has now stabilized. Truly gifted. Suddenly, Glenn spoke up sharply. This isn't looking good. Rimmer's interest was piqued, and he turned to face the family head, who calmly clarified his point. He's actually turned his weakness into a strength. Over in the 5th training hall, Ronan was clutching a box of chilled cake, eyes eagerly fixed on the door. Lost in thought, Rayon wondered when he would come back. She remembered some not-so-flattering comments other students had made about Ron, like, Did you hear about Ron? He hasn't even created aura yet. Sure, he's won 7 matches, but maybe he's not as skilled as people say. I bet young Master Burden or Miss Martha should take his spot. He probably isn't all that talented. The grip on Ronan's cake box tightened. I want to help him, Mom said. I need to repay those who helped me. While she was deep in thought, the door suddenly swung open. Ronan's eyes lit up as Rayon appeared, her heart filled with joy. Each step Ronan took was confident. Rayon was still debating with the little mischief maker inside her. I told you not to engage with him. That was your warning. Don't get cocky. One day, Rayon decided to ignore him and simply walk away. He nodded. Yeah, good luck. But then suddenly, he stopped and glanced at Runan, who seemed to be waiting patiently. Rayon quietly asked, Runan heard him call and slowly looked up. Then she opened the cake box. Inside were 4 vibrant cupcakes that looked incredibly tempting. Runan held them out to Rayon and said, Good luck. Suddenly, she paused, feeling an unusual energy. Seeing her kindness, Rayon accepted without hesitation. He picked up a green cupcake and thanked her. Ah, it's that ice cream cake from last time. Thanks. Meanwhile, Runan could feel the power even more clearly now. She blinked and thought to herself, This icy energy, sensing the strength radiating from Rayon, she commented quietly, Much stronger and more refreshing now. Rayon politely said to Runan, Thank you. then took a bite. The sweet, cool flavor instantly filled his mouth. Even the little greedy Demon King loved it. His tiny mouth kept singing praises. So delicious. He was so happy he forgot their earlier argument. He fluttered around wildly. It's been ages since I had this, but it's just as amazing as ever. Eat the other two too. Rayon had to step in. You do know this is her treat, right? Don't be greedy. Control yourself. Then he closed the cake box carefully and didn't forget to thank her again. It's delicious, thank you. Runan asked, puzzled. Are you not going to eat any more? Rayon answered gently, when is enough for me? Runan asked again, do you feel better now? Rayon was a bit puzzled, then he let out a relaxed sigh. Yeah, I definitely feel better. Hearing that, Runan smiled happily with satisfaction. Good. Finally, she left in a bright mood, holding the cake box. Rayon noticed her cheerful vibe and smiled too. He muttered, she's quite a peculiar girl. Later, during training, Rimmer climbed up to the podium. He announced, students, practicing this way all day gets dull. So this week, I've got something extra special lined up. He reminded them, you've been drilling the basics and building energy for 7 months now. It's time for you all to activate your energy. This announcement sparked curiosity among the students. A student quietly leaned over to their neighbor and whispered, why is he suddenly doing this all of a sudden? The other person shrugged, just as clueless. A bunch of whispers broke out. What's his plan here? Rimmer just gave a sly smile before dropping the news. You'll be battling each other for an entire month. Martha's eyes lit up with excitement. Rimmer went on. The outcomes of these fights will impact your graduation rankings. Then he advised the students. I strongly suggest you all gear up seriously for the coming month. While he was speaking, a hand shot up, followed by Martha's gruff voice. Hold on, she said with a sharp edge. What about those still lagging behind, those who haven't even formed aura yet? Her words immediately dropped the mood. Everyone's gaze shifted to Rayon, but Rimmer's reply snapped the gloom away. Fortunately, those students have already formed their aura. Hearing that, Martha blurted out in surprise. Really? When? He smiled and said, maybe yesterday or today, can't say for sure. Martha shot a teasing grin at Rayon. Finally, I've got a shot. Thought I'd be bored out of my mind waiting this long. Then she edged closer to Rayon, her voice turning bolder. Remember what I said? I don't take orders from anyone weaker than me. Martha kept throwing shade at Rayon. I've put up with you way too long. Bet you're struggling too, she added confidently. This spot is way beyond your skill level. Then she declared boldly, I'm going to take this chance and settle things with you once and for all. Suddenly, a hand stopped her. Burton spoke up. Martha stepped back as he said, he hasn't even had aura for a full day yet. Where's your honor as a swordsman? Martha didn't flinch. She shook her head and patted Burton on the shoulder. Our young master Burton, you were raised on honor, so I guess it matters a lot to you. But honor's for those who've earned it. Burton warned her sternly, but she cut him off. Those fools learned aura in only a month, but our top students took half a year. Seeing Burton and the others stay silent, letting her get away with it, she kept going, sharper than before. Even the advanced stuff usually takes about 7 months to master. That means this idiot really is useless. We both took the test together, so you should know this. Martha sneered. A swordsman without aura will never be famous. No matter their sword skills, without aura, they're nothing. Then she looked at Rimmer and asked, do you think this duel is to shake up the top rank? Rimmer just shrugged. Maybe. I honestly don't know. Martha didn't care anymore. She called out to Rayon directly. Rayon, she warned, you've been at the top way too long. It's time for you to step aside. Seeing Rayon remain silent, she put her hands on her hips and challenged him. So, like I said, let's fight it out and see who really deserves to be first. Only then did Rayon speak up. Calm and clear, he said. No. Without stakes, what's the point in a gamble? If you want my top spot, you've got to put something equally valuable on the line. Martha laughed scornfully. Still don't get your place, huh? Are you seriously that clueless? Nobody here is on your side. But one line from Rayon left her totally speechless. Are you scared? Rayon stayed completely cool, even smiling as he said it. Martha was stunned and shot back. What in the world did you just say? Being fiercely competitive, she couldn't stand being dissed like that. She laughed sharply, throwing out words like ridiculous and completely absurd. Then she slipped back into her usual teasing mode, hands planted on her hips, sighing, all right, I'll cut you some slack. You want me to put something on the line too? With that, she pulled out an item. This was the Calamity Pill, a sacred medicine. My father gave it to me. It boosts your body and aura. She held the pill out in front of Rayon and said, if you win, this is yours. How's that sound? Not too shabby, huh? Rayon grinned mysteriously. He whispered, remember when I said we should wait until we were ready to take on Martha? I want to claim something from her. But the Demon King didn't catch it well and asked, Say again? Rayon just smiled quietly. He said, "This is our shot." 1 month later, in Martha's room, Martha stared at the calendar marked with their fight date and muttered, "1 month's gone." She stretched her wrist confidently, her face shining with determination. Finally, my chance for revenge. She thought back to her first battle with Rehan. She couldn't help but feel the anger swell. No one my age had ever beaten me before I came here. That was the first time I lost. Frowning, Martha steeled herself. This is my shot to reclaim my pride after that humiliating loss 8 months ago. After getting ready, Martha walked forward with confidence. That jerk Rayan only started learning aura a month ago. There's no way he can beat someone like me who's been training for 3 years. She clenched her fists thinking that. But waiting around for a nobody like him feels like a total waste of time. A sharp memory hit her, and Martha bit her lip.